flames, awaken the power held inside of me, harness resilience through the pain. I'm a warrior.
Self-bio, sleep on checkmate. Are you kidding? Michael to the rescue. The blade comes out and he shuts it all down in one fell swoop. Absolutely stomping. Oh, what is that? Haven't even got to the bridge. Backbone.
Warrior, I'm a hurricane like Gloria. I won't fail my times now. Rise of glory won't back down. I take the pain and I let it out. On the mountaintop, shout it out. Break away, let me demonstrate my mentality. Activate. Oh,
Rampage through the side room. Everybody, massive for Bernard. Catches everybody else.
I'm a warrior.
Gonna look to make it happen, and there it is. Proper. Cannot be stopped.
On the mountaintop, shout it out. Break away, let me demonstrate my mentality. Activate.
Welcome everyone to another day of the Overwatch League Countdown Cup edition. I'm Vicky Kitty and I'm joined with Trid. And Trid, the race to the playoffs continue with some of these teams hanging on to the cusp as we wrap up this first week. It's going to be a banger, especially after the series that we got to see yesterday, which was insane. Minus that first one.
Yeah, I mean, well, the first one I think was insane for different reasons. It's absolute insanity to see the scoreline, and not just that, the performances from the Seoul Dynasty and Shanghai Dragons. So I think when people tuned in or was catching up on the APAC results, they weren't expecting to see that scoreline. Thankfully enough for the Dragons, though, Vicky, they have an opportunity to close on a high. They're kicking off with our first match against the Charge. Let's go ahead and take a look at those standings when they're ready, and we'll see what you mean, Vicky, about how there's some precarious positions for teams today as they need to obviously get themselves in a position where they can qualify for playoffs.
Yeah, this is super important. Looking at the overall season standings, the top three in the East automatically qualify for playoffs, while one other team will use the Countdown Cup to qualify for that last remaining spot for playoffs as the fourth team. So there will be 4 total teams in the East that will be able to play in the playoffs. So that's going to be exciting, but that's why it's so important when you look at these season standings and looking at the gigantic gap between the Shanghai Dragons and below them. I mean, that's why the Dynasty and the Dragons have been on a different level this entire season.
Yeah, they've been cut above the rest up until this point. Like I said, they had a nice little compare and contrast that was happening earlier in the week where we had Seoul Dynasty play against the LA Valiant, who put up a really strong performance despite dropping down 3-0. And like I said, I'm going to harp on about it again. Surprising that we didn't see the Dragons actually remain as competitive as the Valiant against the Dynasty series. But as you mentioned, they got the Charge to play against 6th place Charge. Let's restore some confidence in Dragons fans before the end of this week and then get back to our regular scheduled programming of Dragons dominance. But here's your Charge roster for the first map, just to kick things off. Jimmy, Choisewan, Piggy, Xerneas, and Farah.
Listen, Trid, the Dragons were a bit lost dealing with the Smurf Winston, all right, from the Dynasty side of things, but then you take a look at the Charge and you take a look at Piggy coming through. I mean, the Charge, this is going to be exciting. They've had some pickups here between Jimmy, Aprita, Xerneas, but Piggy being that newest ad, they've been feeling pretty comfortable so far within this meta.
Yeah, and just a reminder, if you're tuning in for the first time, only just being able to indulge your Overwatch sensations, you have to think about what the meta has changed into. A lot more Sombra, a lot more Tracer, Winston becoming more prevalent, but a great rotation of tanks evolved throughout these series as well. So we've moved very far away from what we had previously with Jotes, but let's take a look at the Dragons lineup as well, their opponents today. A few substitutions throughout the series yesterday, Vicky, but I believe this is the same starting lineup they ran with to kick things off. But we did see a lot of rotation of players into the Dragons lineup as the series progressed.
Absolutely. This is the same starting lineup, like you mentioned, with Lip, Fleta, Fate, Lee Jae-gon, and Easy Yaki. We saw some substitutions between Fate from Void actually moving in from his side, Bebe coming in as well. We saw some playtime from Bebe, but it just seemed really difficult for the Dragons. Once again, I have to repeat it. The way that they weren't really able to deal with Smurf, it was a pretty big issue. Bebe really couldn't really help themselves to stay alive long enough to help out the rest of the Dragons. I'm wondering here, though, if we're going to see those similar substitutions going into the series.
Well, I would like to see stability from the Dragons today. Yes, you can have specialization, but there were so many changes going on. It really did feel, I used the word yesterday, a little bit like a scrim for the Dragons. A lot of testing still, trying to crack the problem that was the Dynasty and Smurfs Winston. I'd like to see Dragons come with a game plan today, and I'd like them to be the ones setting the pace and make Charge adapt to them. I think just inability to build something cohesive during the gameplay yesterday was a big drawback for them. And I think on a lesser opponent, which I don't think it's fair, I don't think it's out of turn to say the Charge are probably not as strong as the Seoul Dynasty, I think there's an opportunity for them to really lock in what they want to do this stage.
Yeah, wondering if this new pickup with Piggy being on the team is going to make much of a difference. Looking at the history between the Charge and the Dragons, they lost to the Hunters just yesterday in a very close and an intense series, losing 3-2, and they almost got the reverse sweep, but the Hunters just played that last map on Oasis so well. They're also, if you look at their schedule, they have to play the Dynasty next and then Philly after that. So they got a pretty stacked up schedule on their hands to deal with as we move on to the very first map of this series. We are going on to Nepal.
Yes, so let us jump off into Nepal. Like I said, expect the compositions to be very different as if this is your first time tuning in since the Summer Showdown. I imagine we'll see a lot of the standard stuff of the good old Tracer and the Sombra a lot of times here, but Shanghai Dragons and Charge at the moment, teasing some picks. The thing is, though, like, usually I'd say the tank picks are trolling, Vicky, but yesterday we saw both of these be played viably in the West and in APAC, so not going to rule it out completely.
Actually incredible. Mikey said, wait a minute, don't worry. If APAC won't do it, I will. I'm going to roll out with the ball. I mean, it is great because I love that. I love being able to have that diversity when it comes to the hero picks that we see from our teams. But we have been seeing a lot of the Sombra. We are seeing a different variation, though, with Fleta actually being on the May to start things off. Choice of one, taking a page out of his own book and actually starting with the Reaper.
Yeah, and Sojourn's across the board as well, so this might look a little bit familiar for people from the Summer Showdown, but trust me, it is a different comp, operates very differently. Shanghai Dragons, they've got themselves into position, they've taken the fight to the Charge already, they're locking them outside of the spawn room, and as they unlock, they're going to have to try and work their way through Fate's shield, as the Reinhardt is going to be a bit of an issue for them, but May as well, providing that double wall, makes it so difficult to aggress onto these chokes, Vicky, and first cap going the way of the Dragons.
Be difficult here. I'm wondering how Piggy's going to try to play this Zarya into the way that the Dragons are playing this DPS lineup, as the rest of the Dragons are going to try to charge over to the side with Li Jie gone, boosting them forward. It's a bit of a split of tension here from the Charge. Jimmy falling incredibly low, though, trying to get away. He does get the health back as well. So they are going to be able to try to contest that point. That's still in favor of the Dragons at first.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's so difficult for them to find an entry point here, and you've got the big forward unit. Your Fate and Fleta walk forward. It just means Izayaki and Lip can stay at the back and take easy shots at targets who try and aggress maybe on the flank or to go too aggressive into the main skirmish. But been forced a little bit away from the point for the time being. Jimmy will find that railgun shot and it opens up for Choi.
Oh no, Choi, he dashes through the Immortality Field and Izayaki at the same time, as well as the rest of the Dragons. An amazing start here for the Charge. Yeah, 44% is in favor for the Dragons right now, but the Charge were taking that methodically. They actually were taking their time. They made sure to actually take that fight first against the Dragons, and now they are going to be able to flip that point in their favor.
Yeah, start accruing that bonus for themselves for the time being. 40% in climbing. Piggy's nearly got that Graviton Surge. Be very difficult here. Set up a lot of combos potentially with Xerneas and the Soundwave. You grab them by an edge. Easy boop off afterwards. Instant kills across the board available for them. Window drop down here by Izayaki gets them out of these sight lines, closes them down while Fate walks forward. And I touched on the point, they've given it to them for free. No one went and contested against the window.
And just kind of playing around the point instead, because you're just waiting to get these big picks first. He doesn't even need to use it right here, Trin, and this is great news for them because, yeah, they're letting the Dragons get the point here, but they're winning these fights. They're on purpose spreading the Dragons thin, and they're holding on to this economy.
Still got a long way to go, Vicky. If they're in the lead. If we swap the percentages, I feel more confident about Charge's position. Yes, they do have a few ults coming on the board. They probably have the whole buffet. Apart from the window from Dragons, lots of options available. Lots of options available for them as they go in. Choi, Nanoblade.
Oh, the wall, though. Not going to let them go in as the Blizzard gets unleashed. Here comes the Shatter here from Fate. The rest of the Dragons unleash everything that they have. Gonna have that Stone Barrier ready here too, but they don't even need it. It's just a charge now. Losing out on Xerneas and Choice of One. Piggy falls incredibly low, but manages to survive and take care of Fate at the same time. Jimmy now contesting on the point, trying to stall for as long as possible as they surpass the Dragons in terms of percentage.
Yeah, one of the difficulties there of using the Reinhardt charge from Fate, yes, you try and get that burst damage onto Piggy, but you push Piggy to his teammate. The Ana's right there, drop the Bionade on the floor, it gives you the anti-heal, no one can support you, and you're just going to get burned down quite easily at that close range. They can take Crossfire and get around your shield quite easily. And so despite shutting down a big blade nano boost combo onto Choize1, you're able to try and mitigate some of the fight, but ultimately 90% for the charge, and they're on the cusp of taking this first round.
Absolutely, 90% and climbing as the sound barrier gets unleashed from the charge here too, as well as Lijiang to match that, as well as the window actually from Izayaki here. 99% in favor for the charge of the Dragons, managed to flip it, but they're dropping with Izayaki going down, and so is Lip. Unfortunately, nothing coming out of that overclock after Fleta made the swap over to the Tracer here too. He's still alive. He's holding on to dear life as Fate Nat manages to get Xerneas, but they trade that for Li Jaegon, so both Lucios off the board as overtime now, taking away in favor for the charge, and they have more heads here on this point, and they are looking fantastic, Trid.
I don't think I've seen a single fight on the point this round, Vicky.
No.
All the skirmishing has been happening in these back corners off the point, and it's sometimes the fight's not even over, the fight's not even started before flips are coming in. The objective was a secondary fort there. These teams were just going for pure skirmish mode in these corners, and ultimately the Charge come out with the victory there for round number 1 and draw first blood. We now move over to Shrine, seeing Fate tease the Winston. I think they could probably roll around with this one, but we'll let the comp changes roll out when a point unlocks. Shanghai Dragons still struggling to find their footing, but this is a one-round Andy situation. There's still plenty more with this series to go.
Still, though, looking at the way that the fights were kind of being unleashed in that first round, like you mentioned, playing split up away from the points, very interesting. Basically playing that the point has lava on it. Let's not touch it challenge here, as Fate is going to be able to roll out on that Winston. Charge taking their sweet time, but not taking their time this time around, as they are going to be able to get to that point, and it actually cost them with Fleta actually getting put into position by Li Jaegon. He's going to be able to find Jimmy.
Yeah, that was Fleta also getting the support from Li Jaegon over the top and just making sure they get that damage nice and easy. Jimmy unable to escape it, gets burnt down, gives them a 5v4 advantage, and first point capture should in theory go to the Shanghai Dragons, but it's a fast travel back to the point from Jimmy. He can teleport across and move quite forward. They will have to go and aggress as they move forward into Jimmy again. Nowhere to go. They won't even let him shut down Fate at this point if they hit him with that railgun.
Jimmy can't catch a break here. He can't even touch a single toe outside of this choke point. The rest of the Charge are just going to back away, give that space over to the Dragons to wait out on Jimmy, who's making the swap over to the Sojourn now. Piggy still has the ability to bubble Choize1 or be able to rack up some more damage. Choize1 just waiting for an opportunity himself over by the sidelines, but doesn't want to try to overcommit.
It's all about picking up and trying to build these ultimates. Good cut-through opportunities there for Choize1. It's a bunch of Travolta charge and tries that chip damage onto the Dragons, but Anna has a Bionade available. You've also got the Amp It Up from Li Jaegon. Lots of healing options available as ultimates will start to come online shortly, starting with that Nano Boost, and they're still building towards that Nano Blade combo, Vicky. Just 19% left for Choi, and they can go.
Well, he's taking a quick nap right now as the sound barrier gets unleashed from the rest of the Dragons. Choize1 may not even have that opportunity. The Nano Boost was put on there, but he couldn't get the blade in time as Farway gets focused down by Lip. Lip's positioning so far in the second round has been fantastic, and the Charge have not even been able to even see the point with their own eyes. The Dragons continuously stop every approach they have, and now Fate is going to hug them in their spawn.
Yeah, I believe that was a fantastic slip by Izayaki to just deny the out-of-sync Nano Blade combination, like you called out, Vicky. Choi trying to build up to that blade with the Nano Boost just to get some residual at the end of it, but if they're slept, well, they're not going to be able to do much with that one, and ultimately Farway loses their life as well, so unable to pull anything off of that combo. Really dire situation for the Charge here. Lots of ultimates to run into. Overclock available. Pulse Bomb is going to be thrown into the mix surely by Fleta. I'm not sure how the Charge can touch with this one. They've had to disengage with 10% remaining.
Wow. Nobody's checked Lip, and Fate now has found Choize1. No blade here. 94% already in favor for the Dragons, and the Charge are now going to try to desperately try to get on the point if they even have heads available for them. Farway goes away. He gets clicked on the head. Xerneas has a sound barrier to at least keep the Charge alive to try to force it overtime, but Piggy can't even get set up there. He was right there, unfortunately. Can't force the overtime, and we are in a 1-1 scenario for our first map, going on to round number 3.
That's kind of what we expect to see from the Dragons a little bit more, Vicky. Very dominant on that round in particular. Like you said, Lip's positioning fantastic, relatively untouched that round. Fate just able to do what they want. Fantastic shutdown from Izayaki and support from Li Jaegon. Yeah, great play all round. Just really unfortunate there with the charge, unable to make use of their ultimates in the most optimum way. Piggy just being a little bit late to the point to keep the contest going. The grab could have been a good opportunity for a recontest, but they were fighting so many ultimates from the Dragons that just weren't having to be used in the round earlier. It was a great economic situation for them, and they were able to convert it to the dub.
Iziaki's positioning as well, since we highlighted Lips, has just been 10 out of 10, getting those crucial sleeps, preventing Lip from even getting dove on here, as the Dragons now already take over the high ground. Charge are going to try to meet them up. Jimmy still sticking over to the Reaper at the very start here of this round. Choice of One falling incredibly low. Having to back away just a little bit, but no, Lip once again uncontested over in the sidelines because the Charge really can't have that space, that opportunity, as a nice big anti hits Piggy and Farway.
All right, Jimmy able to finally make contact with Fate, and as expected in that interaction, the Winston goes straight back to the spawn room. Points unlocked, trying to migrate. Jimmy will take a nap, but there's not really anything the Dragons can do about this one without their main tank. It does mean the first point capture goes over to the Charge.
Point flip here in favor for the Charge. Did you see that dive right on the top? Well, Fate is also going to be taking a nap. A big ante. He's not deleted.
But he gets out.
How is
He got
still
out.
alive? How is he still? That's incredible. Fate gets to see another day. Lip gets that pick onto Farway. The Disruptor shot controlling so much space, especially on this point here. Here comes the sound barrier now from Xerneas. Nice anti once again hitting Choice of One. This may cost his own life. See Fate trying to chase him down if he has the opportunity, but it looks like Choice of One managed to get away just in time. Xerneas doesn't have the same Fate though, as Lip is going to be able to find him into the side. Somebody needs to check Fate. He is getting away with way too much, and the Dragons now hold back the charge and manage to plant their feet and stay on this point.
Just chasing them off the point altogether. A bit of sensory overload for Fate on that point. Barriers everywhere. Damage just being thrown into them. Still weathers the storm with confidence. Able to get out here and chase away the team from getting the capture. While Lip was just popping off on the Sojourn. Once again, uncontested on this hero and just proving his dominance that he's continued from the Summer Showdown.
Trade Fate getting away from there was so crucial for the Dragons to actually flip this right back in their favor. He was literally the epitome of one. It was insane. Now they're going to be able to try to recontest here. Holding onto this choke point, they have to look for it back. Now here comes a nano boost from Choice of One and the Blade. He's going to try to dive in. Fleta taking a nap. Can't use that pulse bomb. That was absolutely huge. Farway catching him. And now Choice of One cleans up Lip. There goes a DPS lineup of the Dragons. And it's going to have to be a reset here with Fate falling incredibly low. Doesn't have that sustainability though without Lige gone. Only leaving really Iziaki.
What a sleep there from Farway to shut down Fleta. Unable to get the pulse bomb into the mix. A lot of ultimate set on the board for the Dragons when they may have wanted to commit that to keep their dominance. They will have some recontest tools here, but if they don't pay attention to Jimmy, who can sneak into those little corners like that, he's going to have a Death Blossom available that can just shred through the Dragons. Getting him with the Disrupt shot definitely had to happen with a railgun as well. But he's using the overclock.
What
He does it again!
What's happening? Lip with the 3K, make it a 4K. The Charge are escorted off the point, and the Dragons look right back into shape as if yesterday never happened, Trid.
This is what they wanted to see to close out the week. 70% in climbing now, getting into the latter stages of this round. They have the Primal Rage and they have the Nano Boost. So that's a lot of stall that can be converted onto Dragons if they need to get onto the point and try and go for a contest. Death Blossom being used on the entry point, but Dragons, they just peepo leave. They just speed boost out of there. There's no one around to get affected by it. And they head back to the point and stop the flip from coming in. Look at how close Charge were to getting a flip over in their favor as well.
More impressive that the Dragons were able to immediately reverse that situation as Lip finds Jimmy head on. Jimmy managed to also take care of Iziaki that was right behind Lip as Lip now goes down from Choice of One. Incredible diversion though for them to actually split their attention from that choke point after Lip got put to sleep, denying the Death Blossom. But now the Charge are going to be able to flip that back in their favor, but at 99% for the Dragons, they look great.
Okay, still have the Primal Rage available for them. They are going to be running into Piggy's Grav, and you've got a Nano Blade combo and Sound Barrier. Charge should be able to force this out. They have all the tools to be able to still win this round, Vicky, and take the first map. They can't have members being slept out of sync. They can't have members being picked off. It's quite easy for the Shanghai Dragons to do this, especially if Fleta gets that Pulse Bomb online.
Charge Charge have their win condition though. Here comes the Blade. Nano Boost Blade as he charges in through everybody in the
Fast
Dragon.
dive.
Seconds ticking away. He's cleaning up the whole team basically. The 4K to clean up the rest of the Dragons. But that was a Nano Boost and the Blade being used up here. Now the Dragons have to desperately touch the point. As you can see, Fate
switch to
activating
Sombra.
that Primal.
Lip switch to Sombra. They
no.
lost Lee God, who won't bring the beat to this. Primal Rage just for the resets to get to the point. That fight came at a pivotal point. Piggy still has the grab to win this as well. The Dragons don't close this one out. The overtime's surely going to kickle down, and Charge have to take this round.
Saw Lip coming in on the Sombra, getting the hack real quick onto Jimmy, but he manages to survive. Meanwhile, Choice of One has been tearing through the Dragons at the very end. Your Neat continues, taking down Fate, taking out Fleta. Piggy now is helping clean up the point. Overtime taking away in favor for the Charge, and the Charge take the first map in a very intense last fight there situation between themselves and the Dragons.
Yeah, that Nano Blade combination, finding the backline straight away, takes them out. You immediately know at that point the Dragons are going to go on the back foot. But if you check the status of the map, Vicky, we're already at 85% charge for the Charge. Look at this. Cleave, dash, immediately. Lip and Izayaki are gone. There's nothing they can do about it. They have such finite time to play with. All the resources that they would have had available for a cohesive fight had to get burned just to make the fight happen. Lee Jae-gon had to go in there and try and touch. On the escape, died at 99% before they could have the sound barrier. That would have been a great tool to use. You had Fate jumping in. He had to use the Primal Rage for the cooldowns on the jump to touch the point as well and get in there and contest. Primal Rage would have been a great stall tool to help the team build around, get there, build some ultimate charge. Yes, we did see Fleta go in with the Pulse Bomb, but that was eaten up by Piggy's barrier, so it didn't even get a pick onto Faraway. So panicky at the end there. Their hands were forced. I think there were a lot of forced errors on the side of Dragons at the end because of the state of the game, but Charge will walk away with map number 1.
Amazing. Lip also with a desperate swap over to the Sombra there as a Charge take map number 1 though. Got another map coming in on the other side of this break. You definitely don't want to miss this one. Welcome everyone to the first series of the day. That's one map down, going in favor to the Charge versus the Guangzhou Charge and the Shanghai Dragons, which rejoice Charge fans. I believe that was the first map the Charge have taken over the Dragons since, I believe, the kickoff clash when the Dragons were still trying to figure out what they wanted to do for this season. So the Charge, with some of these great pickups, Trit, they're looking fantastic so far.
It's been a great start for them as well. I think we might end up with a few more confused North American fans when they wake up tomorrow morning for all the audience. I know we had a lot of that yesterday. It looks like we're going to get more of the same today. Still plenty of gas in the tank for this series. We're looking ahead to moving to a hybrid map next. I think the Shanghai Dragons, they looked them most dominant really on Shrine. They had a complete lockout when we were looking at Nepal, unable to find any real... Charge unable to find any real footing in that map, but when it came down to Sanctum and, of course, Village, they were able to just close it out pretty easily. Piggy's Zarya has been absolutely fantastic. Far Away has been a standout for me on the Charge as well. Clutch sleep darts all the time, shutting down both Fate and also Fleda a couple of times as well, let's be real. Izayaki trying to keep up, doing a good job of it as well. A few shutdowns on their end, but the Arnas have definitely been very refreshing to see. Sleep darts, one of my favorite ability in the game, and it really shows off the skill of some of these support players.
Yeah, Lip was popping off. We saw Lip putting himself in a really good position off to the side, uncontested basically that entire second round. But Choicer won at the very end, as well as kind of comboing it, that nano boost from far away, positioning himself to get that dash, clean up the rest of the point. It was difficult to really deal with. I do have to commend here the Dragons, the way that we saw Lip pop off on the Sojourn, also having not only that disruptor shot pickups, just controlling so much space, but then that positioning, again, that we keep highlighting it. If the Dragons keep playing into that strength, especially as we move now onto King's Row, it's going to be great. You have a lot of good sightlines here, but you're going to be entirely in these close quarter battles, so you have to expect the Reaper to come out.
You can expect it, you can run from it, but the Charge, they're running out on what's been working for them. I think this is the strongest look we've seen from them in that first map, Vicky, which is putting Jimmy onto the Sojourn, allowing Choice One to stay on that Genji and getting Piggy's Zarya into the mix. Now, I wonder if the Dragons will have an answer for this one. I think they're probably still deciding, but I'm happy with what the Charge is rolling out with here. They're just allowing their individual star power to shine.
Let's see here. We also see a lot of that verticality being highlighted on King's Row. Let's get started here. Dragons trying to look to see if they can get a little pick off real quick with Lip. The Widow can also stay this if it feels comfortable, but he says, no way, never mind, I'm going to back away. You saw that the Charge were ready for that. The Dragons are already going to scoot themselves forward to see if they could get that positioning around the statue.
Yeah, Lijiang on the Lucio up there, trying to see if they can knock anyone down. Piggy knows better, able to hide away from the high skates that Lijiang's going to take. We're still trying to contest the angle. Fate jumps into the back line, trying to get on to Jimmy, and Flutter's there for the cleanups. That's that first pick. Charge should really fall apart at this point.
Really good first pick up there, especially with the rest of the Charge holding onto the high ground. Now Fate is going to be able to try to clean up right behind them. Farway still manages to get Lijiang on here, though, as Fate is going to meet them on the other side, prevent Choice One from getting away. Now that first tick already in favor for the Dragons. Of course, Spawn being right there. Lijiang's going to get right back into the action immediately, but the Charge holding onto the high ground. Nice anti hitting Xerneas and Piggy. Farway falling a little bit low, but manages to get away in time.
Yeah, good disruptor shot as well,
Jimmy
controlling these very limited high sights that they have. Piggy's easy to get picked off there by Fate, and Dragons should be walking away with point A there. Farway's just going to contest the dive. There's not really much they can do here, but no, it's really good. You use the disruptor shot where there's exposed areas. If you're playing on the high ground, there's only limited access to where you can actually control the point from, and disruptor shot is a great ability to shut down those close areas, and Charge's hand were forced in a lot of these instances, and they're being forced right now, unable to get out the spawn room.
They don't even have a chance here. The Dragons pushing all the way forward as the staggering goes on, and this is an amazing position here for the Dragons, because not only were they denying all that space, they're controlling all these next corners that Fleta and Fate are going to be able to take control of here while the payload moves along in the back line. Holding on to that front end choke point right before that second point, though, is absolutely key in being able to buy that free space for your own team.
Very far forward, as you'd expect. Nice high ground take from Jimmy, but Fate's going to deny that. Already up there, ready to go. Doesn't want to contest it too long. Knows it's going to take a while before Jimmy can just slide on back up there. on the hunt for Choice one at the moment, just on the side so he can find an actual route to the back line, but Fate's there to check him every time. Fate is checking him, and then he goes on and does some work of his own.
All these ults online here for the Dragons, looking mighty expensive. Looking to hold on to this for that next fight. Here comes that Disruptor shot. Again, controlling a lot more of that space. The Nano Boost on top of that. Lip now unleashing the Overclock, being able to find far away. And the Salvator from Lijiagon, the nail in the coffin to confirm this second point. The Dragons have not been stopped. Yes, Piggy gets Lip with the number advantage already in favor for the Dragons while they're looking to escort the rest of this payload to that second point.
Okay, so the solo grab onto Lip, who had a lot of resources pumped into them. Basically, the Shanghai Dragons just turned Lip into a Torbjorn turret, and the rest of Shanghai Dragons became Torbjorn. He was just locked in a stationary position, auto-locking basically on the overclock, and all these resources were being pumped in. Think of the support line as the hammer, just to keep him up against all the damage that was being pumped in, and Lip delivered for the team. Demolished charge and stopped them from touching the payload.
That late sound barrier there too, also just to keep them alive. Beautiful from Lijiagon. Far away getting dove on once again. He antis Fate while he's trying to back away in time. They're trying to isolate him, but he's got that primal. He's going to be able to back away in time. Just the amount of space that Fate has been able to control alongside with Fleta for this match has been amazing here. They've just had non-stop momentum since the start of this payload moving, and it's looking to keep going all the way to the end here. If the charge don't get much here with this blade, Nano Boost coming in soon.
But this is a ridiculous time bank to be playing with at this point, Vicky. Like 4 minutes 15 on the go, and they're just on the cusp of getting the map completion. Jimmy having to put the team on his back at the moment with those railgun shots just to make sure they mitigate and try and burn through this, because if they were to take anything close to this through to the next round or next attempt at King's Row, it'd be so dire for the charge, even if they did complete the map.
Crazy. 3 minutes, less than 55 seconds. Charge now are going to finally have some breathing room, at least for this next corner. They have everything online for themselves, looking at their ult economy. Here comes a Nano Boost from far away with the blade going down in for Choice 1. He gets hit with a huge anti from Izayaki. Despite finding Izayaki first, he knows to back down. He knows he's not going to try to overcommit there. He gets that one pick, and he delays the Dragons even more. But they used up that Nano Boost from the Dragon side here, so Izayaki now having to rethink some things.
I think you can rely on Jimmy's overclock to be the next stall, potentially. You know, you've got that Graviton Surge, that tends to be the big panic, oh my god, what's going on, let me stop them real quick option. Might give Jimmy, but mind you, they could combo it. Like, Jimmy could just use the overclock, shoot through. The overclock railgun shots are going to cut through the teammates. It's a great source of pumping big damage into a lot of stationary targets.
Jimmy's got that unlocked. He's got the Disruptor shot to control some space from the back from the Dragons. See Fate now, just trying to find Piggy. Trying to dance around the corner here at the same time before splitting their attention, putting down that barrier. He gets caught inside that grab here from Piggy, isolating Fate. That means the Dragons need to back away in time, but they are able to back away from the line of sight of Jimmy as quickly as they think, as Lip gets melted down as well. Now it's going to have to be a reset, and oh no, Lijiagon. Yep, unfortunate right there, but it's what happens when you get caught on the side.
Okay, so that kind of went as expected. Piggy used the Graviton Surge solo on Fate. Jimmy pops the overclock, just pumps damage into Fate, who can't hide away from it, and then turns attention to the rest of the team. Good shutdown. They have a beat, that's the panic button. They could have used that to save Choice A1, but the burst was too quick from Fleta. And now the Dragons have an opportunity to take this payload over the line. They make this decisive. They have a lot of options.
Ooh, trade for trade though for the Sojourns. Fleta gonna be able to find Jimmy here. Sound Barrier gets unleashed. Nano Boost as well onto Piggy, trying to keep Piggy alive and dealing all that damage with this 90 charge already, while the Dragons are forced to back away without Fate. Fleta's gonna have that blade for the next fight here, and Izayaki already has that Nano Boost, so that's gonna be the win condition that Dragons want to rely on here. But now that huge time bank that they had, Trid, dwindled away right before their eyes. Now a minute and 45 seconds on the clock.
Still contested on the high ground. They've got the ultimates here to brute force this. They didn't even need to use one to just take out far away. This is probably the best shot the Dragons are going to have with 2 down and no ults used. Due to clear the raid boss that is Piggy out of the way.
Izayaki says, get away from me as Fate comes in. The insurance policy to make sure that he gets to see another day, taking care of 2 while he's at it, and the rest of the Dragons only using that primal, looking fantastic for this next fight.
Piggy has to hit a fat grab here. They need to create like a meat blender here. They need to send Choice A1 in the blade, use Piggy's grab, clean this up. Nano Boost is available for Izayaki and Fleta. Overclock from the top. Piggy can survive for a little bit. That bubble's going to mitigate some of the damage. Nice snipe there from Lip. He's just got oversight on them all.
Oh, nobody to contest Lip on the high ground yet, and the rest of the Dragons clean up the point with less than a minute on the clock. They take the payload to the finish line. It took everything that they got, though, and they even had to split up just ever so slightly to split the attention of the charge at the very end there.
Okay, and this is what's really important. They got it to sub 1 minute as well, so they're not locked out, even if they finish in overtime on their own attempt. So that's a good position for the charge to be in if they want to take the overall map. Completion, you obviously want to deny that, but hey, this is the next best alternative, I think, for them. So now it's time for their offense. Can they surpass the Shanghai Dragon time bank? We'll worry about that if we can even get to point C and see if they're close to capping themselves.
Loving the Sojourn playing that we were getting to see from both these teams so far. Yeah, she got hit with a nerf. That railgun energy gain isn't as high as it used to be on those barriers, turrets, etc. But man, such a good character here displayed from both Jimmy, Lip. Like the follow-ups that we're seeing as well between Fleta and Fate. Get started here again. They had such a large time bank though at the very beginning, riding a lot on that momentum, controlling so much of that space ahead of time. But that one stagger delayed them immensely, leaving less than a minute on the clock that you currently see.
Taking Lee Jae-gon's Brigitte on this one as well, so a bit of a change up for the Dragons. Does allow a little bit more skirmish power, and particularly just getting in the face of Piggy on those ground wars potentially might help check some of the flankers that might come in from charge as well. Still deciding that final lineup. Jimmy's going to take a pop shot with the Widowmaker. We'll probably change over to something more realistic. They can go over to the Sojourn. There's no reason for them to change. They'll check the angle. Got a little bit more time to play with than what they usually do on something like a Junkertown where they have to move quite quickly.
To highlight Lee Jae-gon also going over to this brig, they do isolate Choice of One as a huge problem here, so this is great news for the Dragons, just trying to work around that. Jimmy going over to the Reaper, it seems. Taking their time to get through this choke point while Piggy tries to find an opening here. He's going to be able to try to go with Jimmy, but like we saw in the first map, he doesn't even stand a chance to breathe in Lip's direction as he gets melted down. Lee Jae-gon as well doesn't find the shield bash onto Choi So-won, and Choi So-won is now melting onto this high ground, yeah.
Choi So-won obviously found his way into the back line there. Snuck around, still on the hunt. He sees Izuyaki, he wants to go for it, but might be running into some respawns that are coming in. It's a good angle to have on Fate to stop the shot. Shurikens, lots of bursts being put in there. Winston, unsustainable position for them. Now you've got Piggy. It's not really contestable for the Dragons in any cohesive way. They might just be giving up point A at this one and trying to avoid getting staggered like they did to the charge when they rotated into point B on theirs.
A good call on them to disengage at this point. Holding this choke point where the corner is incredibly important to keep the stall going and waste away some of that time bank that the charge already have built up for themselves here. Jimmy again going right back to the Sojourn. Learning his lesson after what Lip has done to that Reaper every single time he tries to show his face. Holding on to this corner though, Trid, is going to be immensely important, looking at what that high ground is going to provide for the charge if they could try to utilize that. Fleta hanging out on the back line though. Doesn't have the pulse bomb just yet, but could have an opportunity to sandwich them. Has to look out for Xerneas though, being on the brig.
They have matched them now, so you have Brigitte versus Brigitte, mirrored support line. Anti-nade not going to find much value there for Farway. Cooldown still flagged all the same. Shanghai Dragons can move with a little bit of confidence until that comes back online, but Fleta has to grab a mini, find another angle in to try and harass this backline, causing distractions. Very slow moving payload right now until they break through this choke. Possible online, thrown into the back.
Got a little hit marker there, but isn't going to be able to get a pick. Piggy's got that grab. See Jimmy now finding Fleta as he tried to back away in time. The Dragons also backing away, but they saw the opportunity. They saw what was coming, and Choi So-won just slicing and dicing through the rest of the Dragons to control that corner. Fleta quickly makes a swap over to the Genji himself as the Dragons get wiped off from that side.
Choi doing work right now. When in doubt, Nano blade it out. The charge able to just cut through the Dragons as she highlighted. We'll get another contest here. There's still scope for another fight on point B before we move into the final section. Just can't let any picks come in here. Grab online for Piggy. Make it very difficult to try and push and contest this one. But if they can get that crucial ultimate out before point C starts, it does stop a bit of momentum that could come forward. But they have to try and force that ultimate though.
You're used up already here. Just trying to get in some of that space while Fate is positioning himself through the back. Just put that attention here from the charge. He does have that Primal to reset just in case. Izuyaki also with that mana boost. Wondering here with Jimmy. About to get this overclock. Look at his position here. Look what he could do. He knows
He
that
wants to snipe.
Iziaki's right there.
He wants his
knew.
Iziyaki!
He waited. He waited. He knew. Waited for the opportunity. Patience pays off. You activate the primal, but you get grabbed right
Jimmy?
into place on top of the payload. Jimmy is cleaning up the dragons, and what a way to start that fight.
With a fantastic pick on the Iziyaki, one of the ultimate batteries you would do on charge. On the Shanghai Dragon, sorry, Iziyaki would have been able to use that nano boost to empower maybe Fleta or Fate in that last fight. Doesn't mean they'll have it for the next section as well as the rally. But if you still see the power of the Sojourn, the charged railgun, the ability to just delete one person from the map, it's all too powerful, even in this new meta.
Liv's getting close to the overclock here. Jimmy didn't even have to use it. Choice of one, finding Fate. In a position now. Now the Dragons don't have control over that next corner here. The charge looking fantastic as Jimmy activates the overclock, still finding Lip himself. Now Lip can't even have an opportunity to save face here against Jimmy. Now Iziyaki also goes down. The nano boost online for this next fight. But look at Picky's position. He's literally hugging the Dragon spawn room doors while they take their time to roll out.
Wake up, Custer. Jimmy, he's doing things. Choice of one's cut down. He's definitely going to need Jimmy to stand up now with only one damage dealer. I think this is good mitigation from the Dragons, though. They have been anti-healed, a good turning point.
Oh, far away also fell incredibly low. Both sides from both of those double antis managed to survive here as the Dragons force their way back. But also getting that reflect, too. Reflect onto Jimmy's shot real quick. Looking pretty nice as the Dragons finally get to turn things around just ever so slightly before Fate manages to get away. They got the Nano Blade online here for the Dragons' win condition.
Still unable to get to that payload at present. They've been picked off now. They're understanding that Lip can also delete people with the Sojourn. They'll hide around the corners. Piggy's grabs have guaranteed them another pick as well. Usually Fate tends to be the recipient of that when they dive in. Not really an answer for them. Lee gone with the Zenyatta. I feel like you'd want Iziyaki on that one, but we'll see if Lee Gon can make it work too. These angles being shut down. They just want to come more burst to bring into this fight. There's Fleta's Blade cutting through. Choice A1, Jimmy, and finally shut down with the sleep. But Fate comes in to take over the rally, and he gets onto the back line. Supports will heal each other up, try and escort themselves to the spawn room. They will get away safely. 2 minutes remaining in the Dragon's time bank.
Xerneas with the Fly Swatter, trying to force the Dragons back up just a little bit. Lee Gon does have that Discord Orb now. Put in some of that extra pressure onto Choi So-won whenever he tries to dive in with that blade. They thought to themselves, the Brigida wasn't cutting it here. They want something more. They need more of that damage here to work with. Now the Dragons are going to be able to back away. Fate also with that primal to help reset once he's caught inside of that Piggy grab.
Going to get stored in the piggy bank. Needs to avoid that. Let's keep him going as Piggy then gets antied. Oh, no, that's bad. But the grab actually pulls Fate in before he can get the final punch and suckers him in the face. But Lip will be the one at range to do it with the railgun instead. So the result is still the same. Nice trade back from Choi, brings out the blade. We need a huge sleep dart here, but the Transcendence comes out from Lee Gon, and it shuts down all the options for Fate to then be removed as well. Sub 1 minute remaining. Dragons, they just need to fight against a rally and the nano boost from the charge. They should be able to close out this map and tie out the series.
High stress here for the Dragons as Fate gets antied. He manages to back away. Love how these swaps from the Dragons with Lee Gon going over to the Zenyatta has helped them immensely here. Transcendence denying that blade, denying the charge, that extra little push that they wanted right there at the very end. They also used up the grab earlier too, but they still got Jimmy, who's been absolutely highly impactful here for the charge. He's also got the overclock ready.
Pay attention to where these nano boosts are going over to.
Oh!
Well, it's Nano Lip with an overclock, so you better watch out, Jimmy. Unable to do that. That's the second kill. Looking for Piggy now. Piggy's got nowhere to run. Make it free! And the charge have no option. There's 10 seconds remaining, Vicky. No way they cap this over. 10-player kill streak, and Lip will close out King's Row in a solid fashion.
We're talking about Jimmy a lot there. The Nano Boost coming in from Iziyaki in time for Lip. The desperate attempt to touch from Piggy isn't going to do it, and the Dragons even up this series 1-1 now.
Okay. All right, Dragons, a lot better than what we saw in Nepal, able to come out with a map win as well to tie out the series. I love the adaptations that were coming in there. Choice A1 being an absolute menace. So was Piggy in the entirety of that map. But I think the Zenyatta was a good option for Lee Jae-gon to bring in. Transcendence cuts down the blade, helps with some of the burst and Piggy's survivability, where you just put a Discord orb on him when you're trying to chunk through in those tank fights. It was a good adaptation for the team to bring out, and it worked for them towards the end.
And now I'm wondering how that's going to work going into the third map that we have on our hands. Right now, the Dragons are looking like they're adapting really quick here. I love these changes coming in from this team. It's still at the very end, though, it did look like they were juggling a lot from the charge, trying to figure out a way to rotate through their own ultimates. We're going to see if the charge continue putting on this aggression against the Dragons, or if the Dragons are going to keep this up now that they take the second map in their pockets. We're going to see on the other side of this break. Welcome back, everyone. The Guangzhou Charge versus the Shanghai Dragons. We got an even series on our hands, and with some adjustments, the Dragons are looking fantastic. Personally, your Trid, I actually like the idea of the Brig originally there, but into the Zarya, I think the Zenyatta really allowed them to perform justice at the very end.
Yeah, if you can just constantly keep the pressure up on multiple targets when you just shift the Discord orb around, you know, at the end of the day, Piggy's only got 2 in the bank if you would do for those protective barriers. So if you can find a target that he's unable to protect, get a nice bit of burst, doesn't have the time to be able to wait and get that barrier on them. It's just one of the ways that the Orb of Discord can help deal with some of Zarya's oppressive damage. But of course, it mostly came down to just Fate just getting in the face of Piggy all the time. Most of the time getting grabbed and dying, but we saw a few instances where they were able to mitigate it, turn it around. Transcendence also a big boon to deal with Nano Blades that were constantly coming in from Choice A1 and Far Away. So yeah, good adaptation. Need to see what they bring to the next map. The next map is slightly different. There's long sight lines to be abused, and I wonder if the Sojourn is going to be enough, or we're going to see some moving away to the Widowmaker as we have done in previous matches.
Yeah, I'm wondering. We are moving on to Route 66, and seeing that it is an escort, I'm actually surprised. We're not getting a swap up like we did yesterday from the Dragons. They are sticking onto Fate. I believe beforehand they had brought in Void for the Sigma, which we usually get to see on escort for that shield, but looks like they are sticking to their guns. They are trying to be more consistent based off of what you were saying too, Trid. You want to see a more consistent Dragons here, and it looks like they are just trying to adapt around the picks that they want to go for, rather than just change up the entirety of the roster here.
Oh, they're definitely not changing as much as they were in yesterday's series, so that's good to see. Changes are coming purely from the compositional side or from the pick side, which is what I will love to see, and it's been working so far. Like I said, they got themselves the Zenyatta change, which worked out beautifully for them. There's plenty more to come in the series. We're only 2 maps in, Vicky, and we need someone to get the big old first to free to be able to close it out.
Let's see here as we get started. The Dragons looked so dominating originally on their attack on King's Row. They were unstoppable until the very, very end, before that last corner, where that finish line is for the payload. But they had a huge time bank originally. Charge couldn't fully hold them, though, like they were from the Dragons at the very end there. The Charge are going to be the ones to start off on the defense this time around. So let's see how the Dragons do in terms of their attack like they did last map.
Okay, nice setup for the Charge. They're still sticking with what's been working for them. Wondering who's going to be able to get up onto the gas station to deal with Far Away. No doubt there's going to be a nest for them for as long as possible. It's a good location to hold down. Fleta being able to get up there is probably going to be what they'll look for. As expected, Lip goes on to the Widowmaker to try and see if they can find a cheeky pick, but I imagine they'll roll out with the Sojourn once more.
On the Sin, just going to be able to boost everybody from the Dragons forward before making the swap themselves here. Trying to control a bit of that high ground real quick before Lip actually just tries to take a nice off angle, get some information to see the Charge are all positioned on top of that gas station real quick. Good position here for the Charge to hold to just make sure that they can build into Piggy's damage here while Jimmy's holding the back line at the same time. It's going to be a nice position for Jimmy because it's going to be really ultimately up to Fleta to be able to get into position and dive in with Fate to prevent Jimmy from getting a lot of that impact that he had in that last map.
They're going to use that shield bash to get over. There's a nice combo. Fate Elijah gone over the top, but there's a big enough unit to deter them. Just enough distraction to wheel the payload forward. Eventually, wheel the payload fast enough. Oh, Lip! Okay. Choice A1 got the first assassination on the Sojourn. We were really looking for Fleta to be able to pull that off on Jimmy. It's not going to be an option. Good sleep dart. Elijah God needs to get out.
Oh, they're just cleaning up shop real quick. They were playing pretty spread out, but the way that the Charge were able to deal with that, as well as Choice One taking full advantage of that mispositioning group from the Dragons, they were able to actually clean that up already. Getting a really good start here from the very beginning with that payload, just backing up ever so slightly before Fate manages to make his way back.
Attention over to Piggy now. Fate's changed the options as well, wants to go over to the high ground rather than the court. He still has to deal with the problem. You jump one direction and then you're suddenly not dealing against Jimmy, who at range can then pick you off from afar. You need to be very careful about your target selection when contesting this composition. Fate can't go behind that sign. The second he does, he's going to run out of options for healing. He's got Lijay and Izayaki to support him. Really do work on the line of sight, and it's not as if they can follow him up there very easily unless Lijay goes for the shield bash across.
This gradual forced push from Fate to force him off the high ground while Jimmy finds Lip over the side. Every single time Fate tries to jump on top of this gas station, Charge just get into a position to not only pressure him, but also look at the rest of the Dragons from their sightlines right below them. Fletta's finally going to try to take a position from the back, but with no nano boost here as well from Izayaki going down. Jimmy has just been on fire, taking these different angles here too. He's never in that same place where he gets that first pick before repositioning.
So there's two options for Jimmy on the Sojourn that's been played a lot here. He's playing on the off angle, away from the team, so he splits the dive targets, or he just plays so far back behind. That's a good opening pick from Lip. Bubble will protect Colosseo one as he goes in with a Nano Blade, though.
Oh, and he's going to be able to dive in, find 3 real quick. Not only did the bubble protect him, but he also had that Nano Boosted Blade here, too. Fleta does find Farway in the back line, though. Oh, he didn't manage to move forward while the rest of the Dragons were getting sliced through by Colosseo one. Delayed the inevitable, but still the Charge hold their defense here on top of the gas station.
They've got time to play with here. Ultimates in the bank for the Shanghai Dragons. They're going to have to burn a lot of these to get through, I imagine. Nano boost overclock being popped by Jimmy. Graviton Surge thrown into the mix as well. This is super expensive for Charge. I'm worried for the economy on the next fight. If this one's a fast one or gets turned around just like this, it's a bit rough. You know, Charge were throwing a lot of ultimates into the bank. Couldn't find a pick. The Shanghai Dragons had plenty of tools still to use. They do just that, and they will definitely be getting an extension here.
Amazing shutdown from Lip onto Jimmy there too after he activated the overclock. You also saw the disruptor shot, and then you saw Piggy try to use that grav to try to bring everybody from the Dragons back in, but the Dragons answering right back. Jimmy actually contesting after making the swap over to the Tracer real quick, helping the survivability, waiting for the sound barrier, the Charger, making sure that they can dwindle this entire time bank away from the Dragons with less than 10 seconds on the clock.
Xerneas will get fucked down. It's going to be shot down out of the sky. Piggy disrupting on the Doomfist, but like I said, pretty much you're just going for stagger at that point, unless you had some miracle push, which the Shanghai Dragons have managed to do in the Summer Showdown. They have now got that extension they were looking for, and Charge just faltering as they go back to the spawn room.
Okay, Trade, you could call it the Summer Shutdown. That's what the Dragons are trying to do right now. And you get that momentum right back in their favor, especially after taking that last map. Again, that first series that they played was just yesterday versus the Dynasty. They couldn't take one single map. They looked incredibly lost here. See the disruptor shot getting put out as Fate is going to be able to control that space. Very similar situation to what we saw in King's Row when the Dragons managed to get that first point. They get the stagger kills onto Charge, and they are going to be able to try to hold some of that extra space on the high ground. But Charge, once again, actually playing very split up, not really allowing Fate to isolate one target down as he manages to find the opportunity onto Farway.
Doesn't need to isolate one target, he just pummels them all the same.
Yeah, he's just slicing right through them with the arms.
Yeah, just flailing everywhere, hitting them with the old windmill. One pick seems to be enough to mute the Charge for now. This has been a rapid payload push through point B. Getting all the way round to that final corner now, not really with it being contested. Piggy's back on the field, as is the rest of the team. He's already low, having to use a bubble. He's on the back foot, can't play aggressively right now. We're going to rely on Jimmy. Which choice he want to go down first. Piggy get a nano boost. He's going to try and go for the rundown. He's only sat at 35 energy though, so he's not the most damage output you'd expect to find from him so far. He does end up getting lit for his challenge once more. Disruptor shot as well makes it untenable for Fate to stay there, gives some breathing room to the Charge, and they're able to stabilize.
Fate's survivability though, as not only did he get slept, the nano boost was put onto him while he did activate his ability to try to go through the back line real quick. You saw Piggy also with that nano boost onto him, and like you mentioned, didn't have a lot of that charge, but still the Charge were able to try to clear some of that space. Now the dive in blade for blade between Colosseo one and Flip. The difference is here though that Colosseo one has a sound barrier to help him out ever so slightly as Izayaki takes him down. The focus is onto Jimmy in the back with that overclock, gonna be able to shut down Fleta. Dragons now down 3 apiece here for the Charge now to be able to move forward. Colosseo one making some swaps over to the Sombra.
Could be a nice surprise tactic here in what will be the final fight of point B. Shanghai Dragons sprinting to the point, hoping they can get Legion on sound barrier on. They're running into Piggy's grab. How many times has this happened, Vicky? How many times have Shanghai Dragons come down to the wire and they have to run into a Piggy Graviton Surge?
Point blank in the chokehold, in the doorway. Where are you going? Gotta hold on to at least the overtime ticking away. If you're not on that payload here, Lip does manage to find Piggy. It's a good big pick here, but Choice of One making this up over to the Sombra has allowed them to take care of the DPS lineup from the Dragons. Nobody left to touch, and they get held right before that second point.
It's totally achievable. Charge set a good benchmark for them to move into. Just need to clear through point A, most of point B. Once again, Shanghai Dragons find themselves with an ult economy disadvantage running into these final fights. Piggy's ultimate accumulation this series has been fantastic. Always seems to have them available at the pivotal times. And like you said, Vicky, just pumping it face first in that choke, which meant that there was no way they were going to take a direct route. I was kind of worried into that fight, though, because Fate is obviously playing the Winston, so it does mitigate some of the stealth you could have if you're playing with the team on a Sombra. And I saw that the Sombra get uncloaked. I was like, oh no, this is not good. This is not good at all. They're going to lose them so early into the fight. And then all of a sudden, just the go button for the entirety of the charge. The ultimate goes down. They press Q. They win the fight. Simple as that.
Just getting away from that situation. So important there, too. Survivability. Definitely highlighted here for the charge. Once again, you know, this team has gone through some changes throughout the season. Amazing, talented players here. The Dragons coming off from winning the Summer Showdown. This meta change really highlighting that the Dragons are still just trying to adjust here. They managed to adjust in that last map like we saw before. They're going to be able to try to contest here the charge already onto that high ground, but they have to get a lot more aggressive here.
There's a lot of options here for Ted to take space where the Shanghai Dragons couldn't. Jimmy can teleport behind. Choice of One's able to get up there as well. We won't have a tank that can join the fray, but if you're looking for a pick on the back line, you don't have to worry about protected barriers. This damage lineup's good for the charge. It has options to just take Lijagon, Izayaki out of the fight altogether. You can see they're going up to Big Earls to try and get that done right now.
Jimmy trying to now to be able to get a lot more out of this Reaper, but he gets shut down. The moment he tries to get into position, like we have seen whenever Jimmy has opted to roll out with the Reaper, he constantly is getting shut down. That space has not been granted over to the charge, even with that bubble from Piggy. Now the rest of the Dragons are going to be able to take full advantage of this, try to dwindle as much time away from the charge while holding forward a little bit, but you got to respect this as Jimmy did circle over the Widow just real quick to make sure anybody from the Dragons are out of misposition, and now the Reaper's coming right back out.
So first fight muted, definitely wasn't going the way that Charge were expecting. I want to see where Fleder is, just holding close on this corner, contesting the payload, so the team doesn't have to drop down. Fate's free to go and jump onto the backline when he sees an opportunity, or defend his support up there on the high ground. Jimmy, the opportunity to teleport, goes in with the bubble just to make sure it's not broken apart. Went for the payload instead. Didn't think they were able to get on top of Big Earls, but he does get them underneath the gas station, and this is where they can start pushing. Fate is able to contest from just getting over to the edge of Big Earls, though, so someone will need to go up there and clear him out. Far away, lost their life before a fight even kicks off.
Good news here, Fleda also has that pulse bomb ready. Trying to find an opportunity here. He is shooting down on that bubble, though. Have to be careful. Piggy, though, is out from this fight, so that damage is going to be reset real quick. Dragon's looking great for this defense, though. They're going to have a plethora of ultimates to work with.
Jimmy's waiting. I wonder what he can get away with here. Just going to hold it until the team regroups, make sure they can't get picked off, and then go for another teleport up onto high ground. Ultimates on the board for the Shanghai Dragons. Overclock. If Lip can create some space, open up the sight lines, Lip gives him difficulty. Jimmy TPs to safety, challenge Fleder, get them off the payload, get it in motion as well. But Fate, they still need to find a way to remove the monkey.
Fate's been doing a really good job, but the dive in from Choice of One while Fate was already slightly low from Jimmy, and the sound barrier to put the charge into position despite Farway falling down early here. Now you're going to have Choice of One activate the blade, try to slice. He's found Lip. He's find somebody else, going to find Lee Jae-gon in the back. Before trying to isolate Izayaki at the same time. It's going to have to be a reset from the Dragons, but good news for the charge as they are going to be able to get that payload to that first point. Once again, totally see what Jimmy's trying to do here in dealing with the Winston on this Reaper, dealing with Flood, of course, being on the Tracer. He just needed to have some of that extra time, so the patience once again showing that it pays off for the charge.
Yeah, and you had Choice One with the Genji blade just Goomba stomping people, just bouncing on top of them from above. They have to like use all directions in their axis to try and track where he is. Great cut downs onto multiple members of the Shanghai Dragons. Really eats away at the ultimate advantage that they were able to have. Lip attempted to use the overclock, but Choi still had deflex. Choi immediately went there and got in the face of Lip and shut him down altogether. Big anti onto Choi and Piggy. No kills converted from it.
Fleta having his own little battle in the back. Fate holding the high ground now as he jumps away. Oh, he does have that nano boost though. Here comes Fleta missing out on the pulse bomb. Pretty crucial here. Big deal. Far away gets taken down here. But he's got the hands of Xerneas to hold them together. Nice anti onto Faraway, but the nano boost has been unleashed. Here comes the grab once again to deal with Fate. Fate manages to get away just in time. He also gets put to sleep. He has no opportunity while that Primal is just going to waste away.
Back to safety at the end of it, though. Good shut down once more. That's what we've been seeing from a lot of the Arms this series. Down Blossom. Look at the boop up into the heavens. What was the Beyblade that used to have a spring in the base of it? That's what happened to Jimmy right there. He just got launched into the sky, well above and out of range where he could hurt the rest of the Shanghai Dragons. Fantastic. I'm going to guess that was the flail from Lee Jae-gon to keep them safe. Lucio or Brigitte, he still knows how to make people move to the sound of his beat.
Still finding a lot of these picks here too. Choi Suwon trying to have an opportunity to find Lip, but the way that Fate has been able to split his attention and all these different angles has been incredible. Onto the high ground, he cleans up the DPS lineup from the Dragons. Fleta's forcing them off. Fleta's doing what we saw yesterday actually, where he's trying to split some of that attention away from the opposing team. He didn't isolate Faraway the way that he wanted, but he was still that extra pressure that they had to think about when Fate wanted to dive in with the Primal, and they had to actually use that grab to contain Fate and just waste away with that Primal as well as that Sleep Dart.
Sustains up the team. 1 minute 20 left for the charge. It's still possible for him to complete this map. Taking the match point. Choi gets away, nice dash, he's in pursuit. Fate is right behind him. Good separation from the team, but he's found a way onto the high ground. Has to try and use the deflect to stay alive. They did good spacing. Great answer to Choi Se-wan there to shut down at ultimate, purely with positioning at that point.
Ichigan said, I have the rally. You're really going to try to contest me right now? And Choi Se-wan said, maybe if I drop down real quick, break some angles. Wait, nope, that's not going to work. You have a flail. Mosquito whipping him away, and now the charge. Gonna have to go for a reset. Less than a minute on the clock for them to try to get this payload at least closer to that point B where the Dragons ended up getting held up from.
There's that Primal Rage locked in the corner. 30 seconds remaining now for the charge. Beat committed by Xerneas just to keep him in the game. They're relying on Piggy's grab once more. Jimmy switched over to the Ash. Bob might make an appearance, but they've been pulse bombed out of the fight by Fleta. Running out of time, running out of options.
Lip does have that overclock, and they find Xerneas on top of that last fight territory here for the charge. With Xerneas going down, Piggy having that grab, gonna be that last hope. You have less than 10 seconds, so you gotta at least touch a foot onto this payload.
6 seconds. I think Piggy's gonna have to run out and expend the barrier just on themselves to make sure they don't get knocked back just like that. He yeets the ground, they lock Lip in place, they want him gone, but Lip once again becoming the Torbjorn turret he was designed to be. Shuts down charge. And now I don't see him being able to complete this whatsoever. A couple more melees far away, able to get the bio to heal himself back up, keep him out of range, and Shanghai Dragons take us to match points.
Once again at the very end, always Lip making sure that they are the threat that the charge have to worry about. I mean, if that grab didn't speak for it, you definitely see what the results from Lip alone at the very end of these maps. Dragons taking map number 3 now, Trid, putting them at match point currently 2-1 versus the charge.
Strong position for them to be into. They can still close out a 3-1 scoreline, which will maybe not be as so shocking to the North American audience as they begin to wake up. But now, I believe we're heading over to a push map as well, which is a 10-minute slog of continuous fighting. I wonder if there'll be any adaptations rolling out from either of these teams to be able to fit into more of that style.
Gonna have to see about that, especially when it comes to push. A lot could happen here for the teams, especially those first 2 minutes. And both the Charge and the Dragons are taking their sweet time at the start of a lot of these fights. We're gonna see New Queen Street on the other side of this break. Welcome back, everyone, to our first series. The Dragons currently sit at match point. Things looking more normal here, Trid, on the other side when it comes to APAC. But the Charge doing a pretty good job so far trying to contest the Dragons. But even though the Dragons were held back from that second point, their defense is what mattered at the very end.
Look, they're making them work for it. That's the most important part. This doesn't look easy for the Dragons at this rate. So, fantastic work from the Charge to put in that performance. What does that say about APAC? Well, if we go by the results-based analysis, Vicky, I mean, come on now. LA Valiant, they're like the third best team, right? I mean, Avril tweeted it, right? Avril tweeted it yesterday, so I don't know. That's like gospel at this point. He is Mr. APAC.
So many crazy things happening everywhere. Washington, too, coming out of NA, trying to fill in that same slot as the LA Valiant. I mean, you never know what to expect here from our two top 3 teams, of course, as we move on to the next map. Once again, we are going on to New Queen Street, our push map here. We see the Dragons excel on plenty of times. Now the Charge, though, with Piggy on their side.
Lip Sojourn was fantastic on this last stage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and being uncontested as well. Even though Choi has been trying, Piggy has been putting that bubble onto Choi. Jimmy even rolling out a few times on the Reaper to deal with, you know, Fate, Fleta on the Tracer, Fate on the Winston. They're trying, but Lip has just been taking these angles that is so difficult. I mean, Lip straight up at the very end stared down that grab and said, I don't care, and managed to clean up the rest of the Charge, because who was going to contest Lip on the high ground right there when you had to escape from that choke point that the Dragons were already holding?
Common problem. Dragons just being a little bit too late sometimes, also trying to contest these points with the Graviton surges. Hopefully that's not something that they run into on New Queen Street. Just absolutely not gone for a fight whatsoever here. They've completely ignored them and they've just let them just set up and play at range. Jimmy and Lip gonna have a field day here.
I feel like we're playing musical chairs. I love these rotations though and these elongated fights at the very beginning, because it really does show the patience from both these teams, just trying to take full advantage of that one pick that's so important. Like we saw in the last game, it was Choi onto Izuyaki, I believe. I currently see Jimmy making Fate fall incredibly low. He also got hit with an anti on top of that. Amazing first pick here for the Charge already, getting some progress on that push bot.
So always the risk as well when Fate's going in isolated. They are playing at range, but if the sightlines get disrupted for even a second and that Bionade lands, what's saving Fate? What is going to keep that main tank up? When you lose that tank, look how much space you are losing, and that gets converted into objective with Ward. So much easier for the Charge, and they get that payload motion about 20 meters out of just one pick.
You see the attempt from Fleta also just trying to not only split some of that attention, so that way they could try to deny some space while Fate makes his way back, but kind of acting like a tickle on Piggy's side. Now going to be able to dive right in. Fate going to be able to have that opportunity to finally buy in some of that extra space, but the immediate disengage from the Charge to reposition. They see what the Dragons are doing on top of this bridge. They're trying to actually put them in a sandwiching situation here, and the back and forth between the push bot was still more of that contention from the Charge is still there. Here is a stuck though as he gets dove in. What? Oh, that pulse bomb also put in so much damage onto Piggy at the same time. The Dragons clean up the entirety of the Charge off of that one play alone.
Did Xerneas deliver that pulse bomb to Farway?
Yes. Yes. He actually said.
Like, so Piggy gave,
your pizza's
Piggy
here.
Gave Xerneas, Piggy gave Xerneas the barrier which stopped him from dying. And he was like, he's like, good guy Xerneas, like, well, you still need to take a support, so far away, get over here, I'm safe, you're not, and just ran at him. What are they doing?
Oh, gotta tip your pizza delivery guy here, all right? You gotta deliver all of the stuff here. His choice at one now with the blade. He gets put to sleep, but he still finds 2 big picks here from the Shanghai Dragons. And now the rest of the Charge delivering right back to the Dragons what was delivered to them earlier on, except not in the image of the pulse bomb. It was Choice Wan's blade that was able to clean that up.
To be fair, if I ordered a pizza and a blade arrived instead, I would be a little bit confused. I would be sad about it at the end of the day. I'd be like, okay.
Actually, it's pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome
look
to just
at
be
Fleta.
delivered a sword. Fleta's fine. Pretty awesome to be delivered a sword, but like, if I want a pizza, I can't eat the sword. Like, you know?
You could use it to cut up the pizza, though. All right, here we go.
Pizza?
Jimmy
There
getting
wasn't a
into
pizza delivered.
Oh, you're right. There is no pizza. You have some pizza steel instead. Lee gone, getting caught in that grab real quick while Piggy cleans him up. Fate also popped the Primal while staring down Choice of Wan's blade. I mean, that's a blade that I would like deliver to me real quick if it'll help me out with my games the way it's helping out the Charge right now. And they are going to be able to get some extra progress here with the push bot.
Yeah, on the cusp of that checkpoint as well. Get the forward spawns. No one's in position to touch that one. Fade. Can't get there in time. Forward spawns unlocked for the Charge, and they just domed him as well. Oh, this is not good for Dragons. They're going to lose so much off the back of this as well. Forward spawns and a first pick on that fight. Good progress going to be made into the outer section for this map for Charge.
That was a follow from the Disruptor shot, too. These Disruptor shots from Jimmy, again, it's controlling so much space, especially around these close quarters and these corners. Now the Dragon's going to be able to move up. Have the opportunity. Look at the rest of the Charge there. Just stuck on the side. But it has that pulse bomb. He unleashes it. Doesn't get a single person here while Lip does move up. He's about to get the overclock himself. Choice of One's been a problem in the back lines, but Fate handles it as Lip also was trying to quickly divert their attention. Jimmy also in an off angle, so they're pretty spread out real quick. Here's the Charge now with Piggy having that nano boost is going to be able to hold forward here. Not only
100 charge as well.
But he's at 100 charge, exactly. He melts down Easy-Yaki. He doesn't even get to blink. He's going to be able to melt down this barrier. He's going to try to melt down Fate. He knew the situation. Fate tries to get away. Still trying to stay to contest even then. And Piggy then cleans up Lip. The rest of the Dragons sticking around a little bit too long around Piggy after that nano boost with that 100 charge.
Yeah, Choi so far back, and this is what was really good. Fate wasn't, like, the rest of the Shanghai Dragons were able to push away around the corner of the rest of the Charge lineup. So Choi Se-1 was getting zero support from his backline when he was so deep, and he ended up losing his life for it. It was a great opener for the Dragons, but ultimately turns around because Piggy went raid boss mode, decided to take control of the map altogether. Overclock for Lip, relatively decent sight lines. Choi pulls the blade in front of him. That was so risky. Barrier's gone. Ooh. Cuts down Lee Jae-gon, then finds Lip immediately afterwards with the reset. That's what he needed to connect the dots, and this is almost insurmountable for the Dragons now, Vicky. 4 minutes 45, and they are on the cusp of pushing it to completion on New Queen Street.
I feel like I was watching a horror movie from Lip's point of view. Yeah, looking down Choice of One, just looking at him getting closer and closer while he tries to run away, but then trips at the very end. Look at Piggy's position, though. He's got the grab ready. They call him out. He's forced to back away just in time. He tried to rejoice in that choke point, but Lip does not let him get away. Nails him right in the head here. Nails Xerneas right afterwards. The rest of the Charge force it back away. Good amount of time to actually reset this here, but the Dragons now getting some of these trades. Choice of One still managed to find two. But again, the Dragons come out on top from this fight.
Piggy has the grab. What will he do? Should be able to cut this open quite quickly. Look how fast the bot's moving back to the central point. Might be able to just get it there to reset it and put it back in the middle of the map, but they won't get much further. The beauty of what Charge can do right now is they can just hold the bot here. They don't even need to contest it. They don't need to push it any further. 110 meters to 33. That's such a gap that the Dragons will have to close at some point if they're to win this map.
It's huge. It's so difficult when it comes to push as a mode in general. Here comes the nano boost. Fletta's about to get that blade soon. Piggy's also put to sleep. Gonna be looking up real quick right now, but doesn't he even have the chance to blink before getting taken away by Easy-Yaki and Fletta? Doesn't even have to use the blade here too. Great conservation of the Dragons and their ultimates right now, understanding the situation of how far they have to push this push bot in general. They still have the primal, they have the blade, but Piggy has the answer right back to that with the grav.
They're still gonna have to trade up. Just where the ult charges across the board, they're gonna end up trading up here. And like I said, they have the distance. I think they're about to unlock forward spawns, but I think Dragons can also contest them on this one and deny that. Nano boost available, out of range, doesn't give it over to the blades. This is vanilla for Choice A1.
Oh.
Still makes it work.
Oh, he's going to try to chase him down. He wants to get 3 if possible here. He's going to find him. They're going to try to sandwich him at the same time. Fletta's just trying to run for his life, but Choice at One has him in his sights. Jimmy on the sidelines. Fletta like, why can't you just take your own fights here? Having to have Jimmy hold your hand, gonna be able to find him now. That's extra space for the Charge.
Dishonest.
And it's beautiful because look at this here too, Trid. You have 2 minutes, 20 seconds on the clock. And even though we've been seeing some of these trades, it's the Charge that get most of that momentum with the bot.
Just the way the map is positioned currently, the lead they built for themselves earlier in the map.
They took the robot. Let's fix that.
Like I said, they don't even need to get any more progress on their side. They just need to deny progress at this point. Just holding on to the bot for now. 3 ults in the line for Shanghai Dragons. Lee Jae-gon's gone down. Blade from Fletta. Vic slept. There's no support.
No.
Shanghai Dragons That would have been good. You might have been able to make it work if you had Fate to potentially jump in there and cause some disruption, but you just picked apart one by one. And the Charge can get the bot back to where they started a couple of minutes ago, right outside the spawn room with the Shanghai Dragons.
That series of events was disgusting. You saw Farway take care of Fate. Xerneas finish him off. Could even pop the Primal. Meanwhile, Fleta tried to go for the follow, potentially that was supposed to come with the Blade. He got shut down immediately by Jimmy. Jimmy doing what he does best here is now Lip is going to be able to activate the overclock himself. Just trying to control the sideline right here, but you could already see the Charges trying to hold that next corner, try to get out of his line of sight. They still find Fate in the progress.
Shutting down the main tank. That Primal Rage, they need that tool. They need Winston on point to contest this one. Everyone else is probably going to get melted away. Thankfully, Piggy's got limited charge for the time being, but that'll change very quickly as they get up to the 60s, and that's when they become a damage threat. That's when the real lasering begins. Graviton Surge on Fate. Nano Boost given over just to keep him up. They need to keep Fate alive here, and they're going to do just that as he heads to the back line. Slept by Farway. Take a nap.
Didn't use the Primal just yet, though, here. Lip now finding Jimmy. Piggy going down. Great news here for the Dragons after how that last fight went down. They also are still holding on to the Sound Barrier. They didn't have to use the Primal. They went through the exchange of having that grab already used up by Piggy. You saw the sleep coming out from Fate. He still didn't pop the Primal after that. He saw the pace coming in from the rest of the Dragons and decided to hold back, just be able to control some of that space while getting some extra progress on the bot.
11 seconds remaining, though. Shanghai Dragons, they just need to win consecutive fights. They can't lose a fight now, Vicky. They lose one, then we are going to go to map number 5 to seal the deal and see who walks away. If they can win it out here, have a gargantuan overtime comeback, then close out the series with a 3-1 scoreline.
Comeback story is what I love to see on push as a game mode here. Choice of One has that Blade. Try to find that opportunity here. That's the win condition as Jimmy unleashes the overclock real quick. Look how patient the rest of the Dragons are playing here. Overtime ticking away. I mean, they have to stay on this ball no matter what. Keep it contested. Here comes the Sound Barrier, though. Doesn't engulf Izayaki just yet. Blade coming in with the Blade. Finding Jimmy, finding Xerneas. The Dragons are looking to do it right now, Trid, but they can't get off this bot. They need to be able to take another fight after this.
All right, get the forward spawns unlocked. Still got a way to go. No ultimates left in the tank. Blades, Nano Boost, Sound Barrier as well for charge. They're going to need picks. They're going to need them good. We're looking towards Choice A1 to be able to jump.
Oh, they got off!
Oh!
Oh, no!
They Shang-9'd!
No!
They Shang-9'd. Oh, map number 5 it is then, I guess.
They heard it and they moved. They moved away. I mean, Lip had overclock. If Lip had a huge play right there, that would have been great. I mean, the Charge, yeah, the Charge had a lot to work with. Look at their ult economy, even when they died after that last fight. But Lip could have made a huge play. I had faith, especially with that positioning that you could hold by that window that stares down the spawn point. Oh, they got off the point. The Blade had so much respect from Choice A1, and now the Charge even up this series, Trid.
Blade must have had some Conqueror's hockey infused in it. It's the only way that they would have been able to back away from it. They didn't want to challenge it at all. We're going to a break. When we come back, map number 5, Charge, Dragons. Ooh, I don't know how this one's going to go, Vicky.
We're going to have to see on the other side of this break. Welcome back, everyone. The Shanghai Dragons have become the Shanghai Dragons, and we are seeing a map number 5 in this even series between the Shanghai Dragons and the Guangzhou Charge. And Jared, why does this happen all the time?
Look, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare that it happens right at the end of New Queen Street. Yes, was it going to be tough for the Shanghai Dragons to be able to match it running into free ultimates from the Charge? Yes, of course so. We had a choice. One Blade coming out. There was always going to be difficulties trying to get around that. But the Shanghai was a bit of a problem. Like I said, I think it's unlikely the Dragons would roll out with the win there anyway. It still stings a little bit to see it happen like that. But it does open us up for a map number 5, so we will be going back to a control map type to close out the series. I was just thinking, reflecting on this as well. Despite going 5 maps, Vicky, it has actually been quite a quick series nonetheless. Like,
yeah,
just
actually.
in duration of time, right? Probably been in the match for what, like about just about an hour and 20 minutes. We usually like allocate that kind of time for like maybe 3 maps, 4 maps, depending on where they go. But we've gone the distance and we're just hitting that threshold now. So surprisingly fast today.
Yeah, it's about those holes that we saw both on Kings Row and on Route 66 that really do contribute to that. But it also highlights the quick adaptation that both of these teams have managed to kind of flow into to deal with one or the other. You know, highlighting what we've seen so far from Lip, Fleta changing over to Genji to actually try to get more out of what he's been able to try to get. Even the Tracer at the very start too, getting a lot of that high impact at the very beginning with those pulse bombs, trying to get that really quick. But I really like the way that the Dragons are trying to play into this. I mean, you don't see the Sombra coming out like we've been expecting from APEC because it's the Zarya. I mean, it's Piggy that we're dealing with here on the Guangzhou Charge. So the Dragons having to make that adjustment after their series versus the Dynasty yesterday, it's pretty impressive to see how quick they have been able to make some of those changes.
Yeah, we're jumping into Ilios though, Vicky. I don't know if you can get the way with the Zenyatta necessarily on the Ilios. I don't know what we're going to have. We had Reaper on Ruins, which also bugged me a little bit yesterday, but it worked out fantastically for them. So as we jump into map number 5, we'll kick things off on Ruins, as I've already kind of alluded to. I expect Charge to run out with the exact same composition they've had all day, Vicky, because they have been making the Dragons work at every step for this one. Even if Dragons win, you might want to be looking at your Charge stonks for the rest of the stage.
Again, these pickups, they're looking great. Looking like a whole different team out here for all the right reasons. Now getting set up on our final map. Excited to see what we have to bring out. See Jimmy coming out with the Reaper again. We're going to stick to what we've been getting a lot of that progress with the Sojourn. Absolutely love the Disruptor shot and the way that Jimmy has been able to control a lot of the space with the shot in general. But it looks like the Dragons are actually going to be changing things up a little bit. While Fleta actually allows the rest of the Dragons to move forward real quick. He's going to make the swap himself to the Reaper. Ooh, I know Ilios doesn't like saying this one, but we are going to be able to see it this time around on this last map.
Well, they've got control of the Mega as well, so it's a great base to work from for the Shanghai Dragons using the Sombra. I want to keep an eye on where Lip is, though. Where's he sneaking? Who's he targeting? Fleta's not sneaky enough, apparently, as they were chipping his backside as he poked it out. Must have cake shaped like a pea to be spotted around that pillar.
Sometimes that cloak could be a bit thicker than you think here. Jimmy's going to be able to hold the other side. See that Disruptor shot once again. Going to be able to control that little bit of a ramp space. Also holding onto the high ground. Lip also taking a quick nap. Our way on point with some of these sleeping darts. Zernies is once again going to get the fall. Very similar situation was set up in that last map versus Fate. Now with Izayaki also on the Moira, falling incredibly low, trying to back away in time, doesn't because Piggy's on both of their tails. Also get puts into position thanks to Xerneas here, and the Charger actually going to get this point first.
And I love the Disruptor slot placement on the ramp. You knew that was the angle they wanted to play against. You see how tanks do it all the time. They play on the corner of the angle, and they always want to try and peek around for a little bit of damage, peek back, and just tater-tot around that angle. If you have a Disruptor shot on the corner, and you have a good sightline to be able to pick in damage, then, well, it's an untenable position for Fate. He just gets chipped away and poked down, and so much resource has to go in just to hold the angle that the team wants to fight on.
Saw that immediate swap up to Fleta going over to the Genji. See here, Choice Ones are already about to have Blade. Nice ult economy in favor for the Charge. Dragon's going to try to match that with Fate now moving forward. Lip wanting to get into position here. Charge already holding forward themselves. The quick disengage though as they patiently just wait for the Dragons so that way they can get into position. Look at the way that Jimmy's already all over to the side.
Empowered and ready to fight.
Now looking towards that Dragon Blade. Where's it going to go? Who's going to get shot? Who's going to get sliced? Nano boost almost available for them. Piggy's gone down. Good shot from Lip. They don't have a position to contest here now, Vicky. They're going to commit the blade anyway. They want to try and salvage this. Jimmy's on the back foot as well, as Choi will cut through with the Nano blade. Need the third kill to level it out, but they're still fighting an uneven fight. Fleda alive, Fate and Lee Jae-gon still holding strong. Lip comes in. It does not actually charge, holding on to the point for the time being. They're getting up here. They've managed to turn around, getting picked off. They did this entire thing without Piggy, Vicky.
What? And now the grab gets put in, doesn't find anybody. Well, Fate is in the primal, just bouncing away, flailing his hands like he's at a concert right now. He is going to be able to help out his own survivability, but like you said, Trent, Dragons have not been able to flip the point after using everything that they had in their arsenal basically here. Minus Fleta about to get the blade. Now he's taking a quick nap. He won't even be around anymore. The only thing he's going to be waking up to is the spawn room doors. And the rest of the Dragons now, their plan completely foiled by the Nano Blade. Overtime taking away and not a single head in sight from the Dragons.
100-0 dominance from the charge there, Vicky. Dragons had an opening. They got a pick on Piggy. He had the grab available for them. That's a big removal from the board. They even had Jimmy on the back foot. You saw Jimmy with less than like 10 HP. But it's Choi's blade. Kills 2, buys some space. Piggy comes back. And for the first time, he's going to change over. Piggy's going over to the Winston, it looks like, for this round.
Oh, okay.
I feel like the Zarya, I think the Zarya might be a little bit too vulnerable around the well potentially here. Just because when you think about it, like if the barrier goes, it doesn't take a lot for a Lucio to knock you straight into the pit. And you're going to be playing around quite close to that if you're holding choke points. So it wouldn't surprise me as that's one of the reasons that Piggy might want to go for the Winston here.
It's a really good point. Now we're going to see the Sombras come out full force.
They bumped into
understanding
each other.
exactly
They know.
what they wanted. They know. They already knew.
Look. I love the overhead look. You see them walk into their path slightly alter, and you see the way they're looking looks back in the direction, and then carries on with what they were doing.
Love the appreciation here, as well as the fact that Fleta got incredibly sandwiched by Choice One and Jimmy. Piggy getting hit with the anti as he's going to be able to back away, as well as getting hacked. Lip somehow manages to survive in that. But again, it's the positioning from the charge that allows him to get this point first. This is insane right now. Looking at the way the charge has pushed the Shanghai Dragons, the winners of the Summer Showdown, to their limits.
Bush backs up against the wall on the back foot again in this map. His first cap getting that way. Lee Jae-gon hacked up, nearly was able to disrupt it against Jimmy. Good assistance coming in there. They just deny it. That should have been Lee Jae-gon dead, by all rights.
He gets to see another day, but Izuyaki can't say the same. That was also a huge anti coming in. Biggie also getting hacked. He's going to be able to come right back in. Again, he's going to be able to clean up Lip. The Dragons are just getting staggered. They're getting split up, and they are getting torn apart here. Already 40% on the board for the charge.
Looking for that EMP to be the bunker buster. You ground Piggy. Deny his shields, turn him into an ult battery, farm him if you would do, and get that main tank off the field. Jimmy's also got a plan of their own. They're holding on to that EMP. One wrong step, one wrong misposition, you'll get locked out of the fight yourself, and then you will not be able to deal with Piggy yourself at all.
Oh, look at this. Lip with the EMP, though. An EMP to answer right back. The charge only really losing out on Xerneas in that situation. The Nano Boost still coming in from far away as Fate pounces onto Jimmy, taking care of him. He's also going to be sleeping. Far away finally gets hacked while he was in that side room originally, but he finds Lip. Lip can't finish him off. Oh, that was insane here. The Dragons are trading with the charge, but the survivability from the charge members are incredible. They're going to be able to back away, at least far away is, and the rest of the Dragons can finally plant their feet on this point.
Well. 79% and climbing for charge. Shanghai Dragons have a long way to go on this one. Got 79%. There's the rally coming out from Xerneas. Piggy hacked for the time being. Going to be slept as well. Unable to pull out with the primal rage for the time being. Pulse one thrown in the mix. Izuyaki can't escape the room and will go down. Charge are going to wrestle back control at this point. And they're going to enter this round and this series into a one-fight scenario.
Already 80% and climbing here for the charge. Look at Choice of One's positioning. Also, got to highlight that nice little cheeky small body block that he also had when Izuyaki had to turn around in that doorway there. Can't escape that pulse bomb whatsoever. They got to touch the point here, Trid. The Dragons, they have 3 ults to work with. They're going to pop the rally immediately.
They have to get onto the point and they have to try and retain positioning. Xerneas being dropped is a great start. Piggy can stall for time if they want to. They're at 99%. They have certain luxuries here because of the advantage they have over the Shanghai Dragons. Piggy's been on low HP for ages, far away, unable to actually heal them at this point. The anti-nade landing onto Fate and Lee J got no conversions there. Still being challenged. Overtime ticks down. Fate will be the last Winston standing as Piggy goes to the grave with the ultimate. But like I already highlighted, Vicky, Shanghai are only at 30% when this started, so that does mean that Charge have time to regroup, throw an ultimate fight at a very expensive fight at the Dragons, win it out, and by virtue of doing that, take the series.
Lip is tired of it. Lip is tired of Farway. Farway's positioning has been amazing. And also, yeeting these antis has constantly been hitting Xerneas, or rather Fate and Lee Jae-gon. Not Choice of One, hanging out by the side. About to get pulse. You see Lip ready with the EMP, unleashes it onto Piggy, who leaps and then blinks and then is back in the spawn room doors. They take care of him real quick here, and they need to. 73% and climbing here as Jimmy's now the one to activate that EMP onto Fate. Fate is going to be able to back away just in time. He gets put to sleep. He can't catch a break, but this is what he's been used to throughout the series.
Neither can Piggy. Piggy might get shut down here as well. They need his ultimate in this fight. We're in last fight territory, back in the favor of Shanghai Dragons, though. There's no longer that advantage, that luxury they once had. Choi, round 2.
Getting the support here too. The charge looking fantastic. They got to stay on this point. 99% in favor for the Dragons, but tries to get away, but Choi doesn't let him get away in time. Choi having the hugest impact at the very end right here. Overtime ticking away, but the Dragons are trying to stall for as long as possible, trying to stagger through as Fate gets hacked right afterwards.
Nanabucha has gone over to Choi Se-Wan. Fate gets one of his own, I believe. Piggy using that Primal Rage. He was already beefy enough. He didn't need the extra resistances. Someone help Fate. He's about to go down. You lose your main tank. How are you supposed to touch now?
Oh, it's such up to Lee Jae-gon. Flitter used the recall. He goes away into the well dumpster as the Guangzhou charge take our first series here of the day versus the Shanghai Dragons, who couldn't find a dub in the first week of the Countdown Cup.
Oh, God, there are going to be some very confused Americans waking up to this morning. Checking the score lines, seeing a 3-2 victory in favor of the Charge. They made the Dragons work for it. Dragons unable to finally come out with the win, though. It does mean, it does push them. Well, it actually just keeps them in second. I don't see a reality where Shanghai Dragons drop out of their position. They're already secured for playoffs, but they're stonks. They're plummeting at the moment, Vicky.
I mean, they need to be able to have that mentality going into the playoffs where they feel like they could do it. Again, this is the team that took the Summer Showdown, and now they got 3-0'd by the Dynasty. They went to a Game 5 situation with the Charge where the Guangzhou Charge take it over the Shanghai Dragons, and lo and behold, Trey, we're not surprised. But the player of the match is going to go in favor for Choi So-won with his performance at the very end. Not only at the very end there, but just in general. The Genji, the Tracer had so much impact. His timing in general, too. Forcing the Dragons to basically predict when this blade was going to come in was insane. Flutter was trying to deny any opportunity with the Nano Blade by trying to pinpoint their attention on Faraway, but Faraway survivability was also on another level throughout the series.
Yeah. Both the Honest played it really well, I think, in this one. I mean, obviously, there's not much you can do about a Genji Goomba stomping you like Choi Se-Wan right now. Like I said, just constantly from above. How do you track that? How do you stay on top of that? Multiple kills picked up there. Huge impact from them. Yes, we did get a Shang 9 at the end of this one, but let's not focus too much on that. Let's focus on Choi Se-Wan pulling out a blade and being an absolute animal. Just, yeah, Lip had no option there. You can see Lip hesitating with the shot. They know the deflect would have meant their own death. They had no play.
Yeah.
Kills Lee Jae-gon, gets a reset, gets onto Lip, who tried to clear some space.
And it already actually happened at the very beginning of the series there too, so Lip making that quick adjustment to just be patient, wait out for the deflect, just really couldn't help out because that pressure there alone, that's that mental pressure that you got to worry about. Now looking over at the stats, 81 elims through the series for Choi here. Just as Genji, by the way, alone in that match, so really fantastic showcase because we saw Choi pop off on the Tracer earlier as well with those important pulse bomb sticks. and now going to be able to be the player of the match that he deserves.
Yeah, good accolades put into the back pocket. Plenty of opportunities to rack up more of those this stage. Like I said, this is the final day of the first stage, and we got one more match that's going to be heading up after this. But before we get there, we're going to go to a break and come back and break down the series a little further.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Breakdown of the series that we just saw real quick. Can we just highlight the Pigston coming out on well? I mean, totally made sense at the very end right there, but some of the EMPs were a bit questionable from both sides, but the charge really came out. And while we wait on Trid to get settled up real quick, want to highlight that the Charge taking this series over the Dragons is such a big deal here. The Dragons needed some of this momentum to kick off the Countdown Cup, at least a lot better than how it started versus their series in the Dynasty. But Trid, now that you're back here, thinking about your thoughts here about the Charge versus the Dragons, I mean, what is going on here with the Dragons as they're trying to figure some things out here? It's not really working out for them.
It's going to take a much smarter man than me to figure this one out, I feel like. But, I mean, look. Okay, they fixed the major problem I had, which is when they were just, like, sampling a little bit of everything from around the planet when it came to comp-wise. And they didn't really settle on a singular approach. They had a more cohesive plan, I think. But ultimately, they really struggled to deal with what Charge were throwing at them, which was the Piggy Zarya. The Piggy Zarya, I think, was the big differential here. Bubbles shutting down their pick potential that they've relied on in Summer Showdown quite a lot. Fate often getting caught in poor situations by like the Ana being shut down with the Sleep Dart, the Bionade, just basically taking a lot of bite out of the tank line for Shanghai Dragons. I think has done wonders for Charge in this matchup overall.
I like this momentum that the Charge are on right now. Up on this hill here, the Dragons in general. Fate's survivability was also incredibly impressive. I mean, we saw the rotations between Piggy just holding onto the grab specifically to deal with Fate, as well as a Sleep Dart from far away, but the survivability from far away as well in the back lines was really incredible for the Charge, not only with those crucial antis at the very end, being able to get that nano boost as quickly as possible, but also denying any sort of pick potential away from Fleta. Tracer, unfortunately, was not able to get the outcome that maybe the Shanghai Dragons were expecting.
No, absolutely not today. I think Shanghai, they had potential to win this one as well. And map number 5 did not go their way. You're getting the footage of that one right now. Just a 2-0 sweep here on Ilios at the end. Charge had like a dominant position on well as well towards the end. They just had the absolute control. They went into it with such an advantage. Dragons did have a hope of coming back into it, pushed them over to the 99% eventually, I believe. But no, Charge just gained too much of an advantage earlier on into that round where it didn't really matter what happened, and they walked out winning the series 3-2, and that puts a nice little pin in that series. It's our first of 2 matches we're going to show you today. Of course, we're going to go to a break. When we come back, we're going to have the Spark going up against the Fusion.
We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. If you are just waking up right now, welcome to the APAC zone. We started off our first series in the perfect APAC fashion. Now we are moving on to our second series between the Hangzhou Spark versus the Philadelphia Fusion. The Game 5 fashionistas themselves. They love these Game 5s. I mean...
I was going to say, I feel like Fusion fans don't want it to be an APAC Classic, because if it's an APAC Classic, they're bound for disappointment. And so let's try and get a move away from that fact. And hopefully Philly can come out here with a solid performance as well. In between the break, Avril has actually just updated their little like power rankings, and Fusion are currently rated bottom. He says he's not trolling. Let's see if a 3-0 today can instill some confidence. But let's take a look at the Spark starting lineup for today.
Let's take a look here. We've seen some nice things here from the Spark previously, but we have some different finger guns joining us from the support lineup between Neko and Teru. See Shy, Alpha Yi, as well as Guxue. Alpha Yi also coming through. We saw him pop off earlier on in the Summer Showdown on that Genji. And I really enjoyed having Alpha Yi onto the Spark after having to deal with quarantine and really being able to pop off with the rest of the team with that lackluster practice that they had to have. But yeah, they have some new members to be working alongside with the rest of the Spark.
Yeah, Spark just constantly seems to be acquiring talent everywhere, and obviously Guxue is back into the mix this stage because Winston is viable. You can't just get deleted by Junker Queen now. But Philly Fusion fans, they're here to not disappoint you this week, and so they're going to hype you up even more. So they produced a little video for us to introduce their roster and go above and beyond in this clash to make sure that they perform actually well today.
Are you ready for the show?
Carpe again! And M3 is going absolutely nuclear! Zest dashes and instantly finds 3 kills.
Leading the charge for his team application matrix as well, but Fury, excellent gravity flood.
Spark had the numbers, but Bellisria has the space. The mines! The double kill!
Shot through Aim God. He's looking for the elimination. He goes on the offensive, but Aim God shuts him down. Everybody really low inside of the valley. Nixa gets 2 for himself. Okay.
There's your starting lineup for the Fusion. MN3, Zest, Bellows Rhea, and Aim God and Fixer, of course, in the roster. A lot of rookies on this talent. MN3 and Zest have been standouts this year. We're expecting more fantastic play from them as well, because as we saw in the last series, Vicky, Genji is still viable, and that seems to be Zest's favorite hero to play, and they're getting a lot of value from that.
Hopefully something that Fusion could work into after losing to the third best team apparently in APAC, the LA Valiant, yesterday in a 3-2. So that was
I'm checking Avril's power rankings live right now, Vicky. It actually putting the LA Valiant in second, so they lost to the second best team.
What? Avril. All right, Avril, I see you. You gotta get those interactions. I get it. But you know what? The LA Valiant put up a really good fight, and they also, despite what the score says, day one here, they put up a pretty good fight against the Dynasty despite it being 3-0. So that was a pretty tough fight for Philly to deal with. Now that they're going to be playing against the Spark, I feel like this is where they're going to test out where they probably feel more comfortable based off of what they've learned in that previous series against the LA Valiant.
And for Spark as well, you've got, I think, a little bit more potential here with the meta, with some of the hero choice you're going to bring in. Neko and Teru into the roster as well. Fantastic to see them mixing it up once more. We've already touched on the Shy and Alpha Yi. They a little bit on comfort picks as well. Bellows Rhea coming back into the mixture as well, obviously because the tank lineups have completely changed and they're not relying on Fury to just play the Junker Queen. We're in for a good shout today.
I love seeing Philly always try to pop off in their own way with the rookies on their team. They're try to come in together. I mean, they're like the destructive, chaotic team in APAC. They caused chaos just in the last stage in the Summer Showdown, where they literally took Seoul Dynasty to Game 5 during the qualifiers and then beat the Hangzhou Spark to qualify into the Summer Showdown. So this is kind of like a revenge match, if you want to call it so, against the Spark and the Fusion, because this was the opportunity that the Spark desperately needed in the Summer Showdown to be able to qualify in the tournament to get some of those extra points to make it into the playoffs. Meanwhile, here the Fusion were like, no, it's okay. You don't need that. We need that more than you. and they wanted to be able to try to take that. So now they're currently sitting number 4 in the overall standings on the cusp right behind the Spark.
Yeah, so there's all to play for right now as we head closer towards playoffs. Thinking about what this team will roll out with. Obviously, if we look at the compositions that we played earlier today, take those as an example. You know, we're going to definitely see Sojourn, Genji. That's fine. Could go for a Sombra option occasionally, I believe. Winston seemed likely based on the tank lineups, and probably going to have the standard Lucio Ana combination coming in from the pair of them, sometimes varying up to a Zenyatta, as we saw in the previous series, for very different reasons. It still has its place occasionally in this meta.
You know what? We highlighted the series that the Fusion had to deal with yesterday. It's nice to also highlight the Spark and the fact that they had just recently lost to the Chengdu Hunters. Yeah, they're also just trying to feel out the support lineup that they're working with, as well as Gushwei managing to roll out. But can we highlight the fact that within the first, I think, was it 5 to 10 seconds that we saw Gushwei come out with Neko and Taro? He came out like on the Ryan. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of faith right here. He came in with the support lineup right next to him. I'm like, all right, APAC really is built different out here.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what they're going to be able to bring, if they're going to change things up. Are we going to see that come out again? We've seen a plethora of different tanks out on the board, especially between both of these regions. So looking at what APAC has for us, we've been seeing a bit of that change up, of course. Saw the Zarya just recently. Saw the Pig Winston coming in too.
Yep.
A lot of ball we saw yesterday. Mikey just obviously making the appearance saying, I'm going to do this if APAC isn't.
We did get some ball in APAC. We did have a little bit of ball on
That's
Junkertown
true.
yesterday.
Very small.
But yeah, we're going to jump into our first map. It's a control map as always. Nepal seems to be our first destination. I was just checking in on the lobby as well. We have OBS Kiriko now on one of the OBS. So as you know, Kiriko not playable in this stage, but will be for the playoffs, as confirmed via Twitter. That was probably one of the senior staff at Overwatch League confirming that more likely. But yes, we'll have Kiriko playable in the playoffs. But everyone's getting a little bit excited about that option now, particularly the support lineups.
Makes me super excited. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome to see which of our support players are going to be able to pop off on Kiriko. Getting set up here already. Again, this is a nice little revenge match for the Spark to deal with the Fusion. Wondering what we're going to be able to roll out with immediately. What's changed up between yesterday into today for the Fusion, as well as the Spark after their performance 2 days ago. Let's see the basic here with, especially after what we had seen just in the last series, starting things off originally with the Mei. You wanted to have that double wall to kind of act as more of that space control. But it doesn't look like we're going to have that rolled out from the Spark. They're hinting at it ever so briefly.
Let's see what they go for on Sanctum anyway. Sombra Tracer seems to be the flavor that they're both rolling out for, so they're going to mirror it as expected. Winston's on the field, and we got the Brigittas and the Arnas for this particular round. Velas Rhea and the Philadelphia Fusion take that early corner. Gushwei forced to retreat already. Axe coming in. Shy jumps over the shoulder of MN3, not to get caught, but Alpha Yi is the first blood to be drawn. Hack. I believe that went through onto Gushwei, but he already started to jump back to safety to that point. Fusion have dominant control of this area so far.
Huge first pickoff right there too, especially with the way that Alpha Yi can pop off. That means Zest is already running rounds basically with this pulse bomb that's about to be unlocked here too, as well as the Fusion already stepping foot onto this point here. Alpha Yi gets hit with an anti, as well as Zest taking care of Shy. Trade that though, as Rhea's going to be able to get taken down. Zest's going to be able to move all the way up here, but looking fantastic in terms of the Fusion, already building up into some of these ultimates, minus Bella's Rhea.
So that pulse bomb, trying to lock him in the corner, gets the recall out. There's enough mobility to get Alpha Yi out of that corner. Still unable to flip the point just yet. Reinforcements have come back in as Zest goes down to Alpha Yi's headshots, and Spark still trying to wrestle back control, and they're getting enough picks to be able to do so. Look at the flip it, 31%.
Big anti from Tiro, but no follow-up unfortunately, with the Fusion holding on to the high right there on the choke point by the high ground. See the Spark already being able to take control over this point. You see the Pulse Bomb in hands of Alpha Yi. Gushwei is also about to get that Primal, as well as Belas Rhea. He's taking their time here before moving their way in. You see Zest also trying to find that opportunity, splitting some of that attention away from Gushwei, but Gushwei is just going to be able to sit pretty here over to the side.
Alpha Yi being sneaky, but they're not going to path over. Still waiting for the right time for that Pulse Bomb. MN3 needs some healing drastically right now. We'll get the boost as the MP's about to come online for them. Alfie has a path into the back line. You see the door being held. Fixer, hacked up. Get back. Nano boosted just to keep Fixer alive. Bella's sleeping. Anti finds them, and Aim God goes down. What is happening? Spark have control of this fight without a doubt. And they're just locking the big old monkey in the corner. Squooshway will get that beat down, and now they'll migrate over to the point and just keep control of it. You can see Zest is still lingering. If they spot Zest out and force them away, they can't get back capped, which is what they're hoping to avoid.
They unleashed everything for that fight there too. You saw the pulse bomb trying to isolate Aim God over to the side. You saw a huge anti coming in from Turo. Now here comes the EMP. It's only found Gushue, but it does find that pick. A big pick here to allow the Fusion now move in. No space being denied from them this time around. And as well as M3 trying to get into position with Zest here over to the side as Zest takes a quick little nap by Turo, who's been on point actually, not only with these antis, but also trying to put the rest of the Fusion to sleep here. Colosseo does isolate Nico in the process. Fixa does have that rally, but now they're going to be able to move all the way forward without burning anything more, and they're just going to be able to hold back. Very back and forth between these two teams already off in this first round.
Fusion should be able to match the percentage that comes in for the Spark before the next contest. Rally Pulse Bomb available for them. It's a little bit farther away from getting that one online. Fusion should be able to win this fight quite handily if you just go off the ultimate economy. Where they split. Zest found two. Pulse Bomb has to breath away. Alpha Yi's going to chase him down further. Conflict's happening with the bubbles over on the high ground as Spark wants to take control of the steps. Hack cancelled out by the translocation as well, so it'll be muted. Zest is just looking to spray down, forces Shy out of the fight. There's Nano Boost over to Bella's Rhea. He's got the Pulse Bomb thrown onto Fixer, who ends the rally early. Nano Boost is given over to the Monkey, who's not been able to find the Primal Rage. We'll get that online shortly. Philly Fusion, 95%, and they're still winning the fight.
Oh no, they didn't get that impact that they wanted from the rally as overtime now is ticking away. They're going to be able to get that flip for the Spark here. Love how they didn't burn everything at the same time. They got that Nano Boost to allow Gushue to enable him to get some more of that extra space. Also take care of Fixa and then Aim God at the same time. So that's a support lineup just completely deleted from the Fusion here. They're going to have to go for a reset in this final fight territory now.
He's got an eye on Zest. Shy's waiting. Been detected. Won't be stealth while trying to EMP. Instead goes for the gun down with the machine pistol. EMP's available. Going to use it to shut down the shields.
Huge EMP there. It's found 3, found Bella's Rhea. It's going to find MN3 and Zest. Zest managed to survive, but not the same could be said about MN3 and Bella's Rhea. Now Zest gets hacked on top of it all. Can't blink away here. And now the point secured in favor for the Spark. Nice answer back right there from Shy at the very end to actually deny that last minute push from the Fusion.
First round going over to the Spark. Let's see them close it out if they want to. Fusion had a great start. They kept it competitive during the round and fell apart at the end. Control maps tend to tell us very little about how the rest of the series will go unless it's a truly dominant smashing. See if we can find that in the follow-up maps. Symmetras give the TP advantage just to make sure people get to the point faster. I imagine Alpha Yi and Zest will probably migrate back over to the Traces as they did back on Sanctum.
Not expecting much change here coming in from both these teams. They're sticking to their guns here. Aside from just getting into that position up ahead. Spark wasting already no time to control this point. You can see Bella's Rhea just backing up just ever so slightly while the rest of the Fusion come in from the right side. Shy noting that though some extra
intel. Spark took the most direct route to get to the point, and you saw Fusion opting go for high ground first. Ultimately, he just dropped down low, and they go in for this first conflict on the point. Bella's Rhea needs to move. He's isolated himself from the rest of the team. We'll get that sustained. They need to hold the corner. Neko finds that first pick on the Fixer and opens it up.
That early skirmish that really didn't provide them that justice. They were just losing a lot of health in the process while the rest of the Spark just didn't need to move away from that point. Saw that Shy was in that little off position just to know where they were going to come from, and now he's cleaned up 2 members of the Fusion. Alpha Yi going to be able to move up into position, trying to stop Aim God, but he's going to back away, going to let them have that as Fixa's going to rejoice with him.
Time to build that map percentage up and play from the defensive position. Fusion trying to contest the high ground once more. They're going to run into the car wash that is Gujue's Tesla cannon. Pulse bomb for Alpha Yi as well. It's going to cause some serious headaches as they try and push through together.
Little shield dance that we're currently seeing right here. Alpha E now unleashing the pulse bomb. Doesn't get the stick. Can't find that pick up to aim gun that he's tried twice for now. Having to burn out the recall. Chu also getting hit with the anti while Shy finds MM3 denying the EMP charge away from him for that next fight. Zest does have that pulse while Bellisria is going to be able to get that nano boost, but while containing his control here over to the side while helping out his own survivability, Zest now finding Teru. Nice little turnaround here for the Fusion. They do trade that though for Fixa, and Zest is looking to pick up the pace real quick. Gushue now still helping out the survivability, popping the primal, and look at this, they haven't even allowed the Fusion to touch one toe on this point yet. 55% and climbing in favor for the Spark.
Yeah, I think the problem they had there is, you know, when MN3 got decloaked, whether intentionally or not, he was isolated from the rest of the team. They were forced all the way back into that building you're just seeing on the left-hand side of your screen right now, unable to support him once he got locked down. So you're fighting a 4v5 at that point, and it was already going the wrong way. Now Shy's from the translocator, gets the hack onto the Mega, moves into position for an EMP. Zest can't rely on that Mega for healing, so will need his team to help him out or go further afield to find it. And you can see MN3 lurking in the back, gets the spray down to Teru. Immediate support from Bellisria to bring the kill. And then Primal Rages to kick the fight off and move on to the next target.
A huge priority target here too. Also EMP landing onto Fixa while Bellisria unleashes the Primal real quick here. MN3 has that EMP ready. Gonna be able to find Aim God. Alpha Yi going crazy over to the side room, finding both supports as the overtime is taking away in favor for the Spark. Alpha Yi's patience was able to actually pay off while he finally finds Aim God. And despite that EMP at the very end, there is no members left here for the Fusion to try to contest the rest of the Spark here, minus just MN3 himself, who's helped himself out a lot in terms of survivability.
Still alive for the time being. Giving over what they could. Bellisria moving over to the Doomfist. They're just cycling who's touching at the moment. Victory. Until that happens, MN3 and a Tracer in position to be able to do that. Spark, walk away with the first map. I don't think that's a... Look, I'm not going to call that a C9 because it's not as if Fusion were in a position where they were going to win immediately off the back of that. That's not as critical as what we've seen earlier. But the Spark, able to come out with a fantastic win. They draw first blood in the series, and Fusion fans more specifically will be left longing after that map.
Kind of much more of a scattered fights that we're seeing, very similar to our last series, just spread out a lot longer, these elongated fights at least. The priority targets, of course, being that back line here that currently see Alpha E having a little bit of trouble at the very beginning until the very end, as well as MN3 actually isolating Teru a few times as well. So some of these back and forths, though, going in favor with the Spark taking that very first map, and we do have that second map on the other side of this break for our last series of the day. Welcome back, everyone, to our second series of the day between the Spark versus the Fusion. The Spark now lead in terms of maps 1-0 versus the Fusion, and it did seem a little bit scattered at first. Their trade was going a bit back and forth between both these two teams, with the Spark seeming to keep themselves way more cohesive and together before we jump into the second map.
Yeah, we're looking in at going to King's Row, but before we do that, we have a substitution. Fury will be coming in for Belazria. Fury obviously was the main tank in the lineup for the Summer Showdown, playing a lot of the Junker Queen. Not something we expect to see today, but of course Fury has been a dominant and proficient tank for so long, for such a long time in Overwatch League history. It's no surprise that they are making some adaptations to see if they can find some net wins here, Vicky, because I don't think they want to be at match point going into map number 3, not after yesterday's performance.
I'm glad that they're making this quick little swap up, though, to see what they could do differently here with Fury. I mean, he was an absolutely pop-off here on the key for the Fusion, especially on that Junker Queen. I mean, I don't expect anything less from this vet himself, who's been able to pop off plenty of times with the rest of the Fusion, with the rest of the rookies that he's got to lead with. Spark, though, looking fantastic after that first map here. I'm wondering what they're going to do going into the second map, or if they're going to change anything, or if they're going to stick to their guns here, especially with the way that they were able to prioritize some of the back line of the Fusion.
The Sombra Tracer was working out well for them. Maybe they might try and switch over to the Genji at some point. I think that's really the only adaptation we might see coming in here from Spark. Other than that, they could surprise us. They could change up the composition altogether, but it currently is working for them. They are not under the pressure to change outside of any adaptations you would make for map geometry or just general setup of the map. Or Spark could force their hand and provide something extremely wacky that demands an answer. You know, Fusion might be able to just surprise them.
That'd be great, actually, especially depending on how the Fusion answer back. I mean, we saw what MN3 Sombra could do. We saw the survivability from MN3. Just really, the support wasn't there from MN3 to help out the rest of the Fusion, so maybe getting a little bit of that difference from the Philly Fusion going into the second map in combination with Fury getting put back into this roster like we've seen him before, especially in that last stage. Getting set up again. We are going to King's Row, which is going to have a lot of that verticality like we saw prior in our last series. So I'm excited to see how players like Shy is going to do here in this situation. And Shy, M3, are we going to see the Sombra still? Are we going to see a little bit of a swap off? I'm wondering.
Yeah, we'll get our answers very soon. Let's jump into the hybrid map, map number 2. It's in our last series of this week's edition of Countdown Cup for APAC, but of course, North America will be concluding later today as teams race to secure positioning in the upcoming playoffs. That for the time being, see what they roll out with. And okay, so on the defense, we're actually going to have to change over. So Neko going on to the Lucio, Shy onto the Sojourn, and Alfie onto the Genji. So this is more reminiscent of what I expect to see for the rest of the series outside of that first control map. We saw how the advantages can be played here from splitting the team, so you keep Shy away from the fight sometimes, being able to just abuse long sight lines if a dive comes in from the Fusion or any other opponent. So you can see them operating very separately for the time being. Because the big setup point is where you see that backline right now. Neko, Alpha Yi, and Teru just going to be waiting up on those upper platforms. Both Shy and Gooseway have options to join them if they need to in that fight, but they need to be able to contest them on point and on off angles.
I was looking to see what the Fusion we're going to officially roll out with here. Not really an option to force the Spark off of this high ground if they want to hold on to it here. Fury actually going over to the Zarya here. We'll be able to control some of that space, but it's going to help enable Zest to get into position instead to be that player to force and add in some extra pressure onto the Spark to make them reposition. Shy was in a nice little off angle here. Fury trying to call him out before Shy actually just repositions immediately over to the high ground.
Some pressure really coming for Gooseway, but he has been anti-naded, so they will trade Aim God for Gooseway in those fights. I know which one I'd rather have on when you're trying to hold the point. If it's going to be the one pick, you want to keep the tank alive. Fury now challenging map percentage. Zest in the face of Shy. There's going to have his eardrums blown out by Neko. Someone needs to get on the point and challenge. You nearly have Gooseway back to points. It's not dire yet. That's a lot of charge over to Fury to take into this next engagement.
Zest was trying to break some ankles real quick there on the support lineup. Didn't get to really do it in, as Teru does have that nano boost ready here too. Fury's going to be able to still stick onto this point, trying to get that second tick right there before the Spark try to re-engage. You see Gushue now getting into position. Teru needing to stay alive though, has that nano boost, but can't put it onto Gushue to help that survivability. And
immediately you see the teleport coming in from Zest as well, getting in the face of Teru after that. They have to donate the nano boost over to Alpha U, who has been slept.
Oh.
The fusion have just dismantled Spark on that retake. Teru caught with his pants down there on the rotation as Gushue jumped into the fight. No sightlines available to be able to support at range, and he just drops immediately. And Teru getting picked off again by MN3 with the railgun.
And getting staggered here, while the rest of the Fusion are going to be able to move all the way up to control some of that extra space to allow that payload to just move along these next two corners without getting contested. MN3 is also just collecting heads, like it's its collection real quick here, just making a statement. See, MN3 knows that Gushue is over there on the side. It's going to send out that disruptor shot just to let him know, like he knows, and back up just in time before they try to re-engage, because the payload is still moving along uncontestedly behind them.
Under pressure, even got the amplified healing, but Gushue hunted him down all the same. Ult's about to come online for Spark. Philly still have some options themselves. Grab, Death Blossom, Nano Boost given over to Zest. Getting into the middle of the fight, he pressed Q, Vicky! There's the Death Blossom! And they all die, they all fall over.
We saw it going down like the final domino of the chain reaction real quick. You saw the bubble put down into Zest. You saw the nano boost getting put onto Zest as well. The Death Blossom getting unleashed. And this time around, it wasn't up in the air. It was not the Beyblade up in the skies that were going to be sent over from the side here. It was going to be Zest staying grounded here now, as MN3 is going to be able to also unleash the overclock. Trying to click away here as Gushue is going to go for a quick reposition. He took a lot of damage off that shot. He's going to back away in time. He's also got the Primal just in case he needs to go for a quick reset, but he's going to stay here to contest.
Gushue in spot, anti-naded, no bubble, disrupt shot on top of the grab. Go from Alpha beat as well, it's reinvigorated on both sides. Good disengagement with the sound wave, and Alpha retreats back up to the high ground. Great way of dealing with that blade from the Fusion.
They don't die here, Trid. The Fusion staying alive. The sound barrier from Fixa to help them out. Here comes a nano boost onto Alpha Yi. Already used up that blade earlier here today, and now Zest now trying to stay alive with MN3 getting dashed on though. Alpha Yi finding two, claiming two on this. The Spark gonna be able to restabilize here on this defense. Once they take care of Zest, the Fusion outnumbered. It's gonna have to be a reset for them, but a nice little stall here to allow the Spark to regain some momentum on their side before that second point was captured by the payload.
And finding Fury there at the end was vital. You need to shut down the energy they've accrued for themselves to make sure they're not a huge damage threat from the off in the fight. Just keeps them away from 100 and just means they're more of a tank and less of someone as a tank shredder. Paying attention to how things are developing. Aingods are going to have that nano boost online as well. I feel like the Beyblade combo, sorry, the Death Blossom combo with the nano boost is probably going to be potent for them. Might not even need it if they can find Neko with some stray railgun shots like that though.
Oh. Don't hear Trid anymore real quick. Just diving right back into what we're seeing currently just in case here. Zest just finding two, going absolutely crazy. He's got the Death Blossom ready here as well. Finding another one with Neko going down. The rest of the Fusion now getting that complete wipe onto the Spark has now allowed Zest to feel himself. He's got the Death Blossom ready, and he's on the high ground waiting for the opportunity to just send it fully in. He doesn't got the nano boost this time around, but he does have Fury for that extra protection.
They don't know. Oh, they do know he's there now. The Tesla finds the connection. Gushue can't stay up here if he's having to deal with the Reaper solo. We'll just burn straight through him. Bubble given over as he drops down from the heavens with the Death Blossom. Finding two on the back line, forces them into the spawn room, and the payload has not had its brakes put on yet, Vicky. It's now on the home stretch, ready to close out this round.
Ooh, Zest popped off so hard around the end right there, Trid, that it made your connection sour just a little bit here. As the Spark now are going to be able to roll out of the spawn room doors. Here comes a grab from Fury. Zest gonna get the follow-up, gonna be able to fight Teru, but here comes Alpha Yi with the blade to answer right back, finding two. Just trying to hold on for the defense of the Spark. Gushue now trickling in, as well as Neko coming in as well. The Fusion just trying to play back. Look at their backline, uncontested. Shy could get into position to actually change that up a bit, but MN3 is gonna be a threat that they have to make sure they completely downpack here. Shy's gonna be able to use a payload for some extra coverage, but Fury can't say the same as he gets taken down. Shy gonna be able to move all the way up with the rest of the Spark to control this next corner. And look at this, a minute and now 55 seconds on the clock for the Fusion to get that payload to the finish line.
Easy maintenance there for Shy. Pops the overclock, has the sight lines, burns through Fury, and helps the rest of the team push onward and get them back. Spark were able to salvage a lot from that fight, not all of them going down, but eventually having to reset. Fury and the rest of the Philadelphia Fusion will now get themselves one of the front corners. Zest takes control of the high ground. AimGod has a nano boost available. MN3 removes Shy's head from his shoulders. And that makes it so much easier to walk in. Now Gooseray jumps into the back line. Nano boost for Zest. He's chasing them down. Turns attention over to Alfie, though. He's much quicker to get rid of.
He's coming for Teru. He tried to do the little cheeky sidestep once again. He gets put to sleep, but gets woken up immediately afterwards. Shy still takes care of him, but they have to contest the payload. Can't just be Neko, as he's going to be able to actually go around the back. Gushway's going to meet him right back again. And the Spark come out on top in terms of the numbers. Even though you see Shy and Neko going down, it's fine. It's just really up to Fury that was left there at the very end. Now less than a minute at time for the Fusion to actually get to the point here. MN3 does have the overclock at the very least, as well as Fury about to get that graph.
I mean, look, you can trade for the Zarya, but then sliding into a Zarya with bubble and a little bit of energy is risky even for me, and I'm sat down in plat, Vicky. Like, I don't know if I'd be doing that one, but Shy and the rest of the team have the confidence to still make it work. Teleport bubble into the back. He should know where this is. He's revealed himself. Nice sleep. Zest is napping, but he's woken immediately. MN3 finds Alfie. The overclock working true. Need to find a few more targets to close this one out, though. Spawn advantages against them. Zest gets the bubble and the Death Blossom being used on the payload to clear some space. Neko, anti-heal, but now finally will be sustained by Teru before being dropped. Gushway turns the attention around to fix it before being dropped. Someone needs to deal with the Reaper, and it's finally going to be Shy as an option. Disruptor shot, Graviton Surge. Teru will get taken down. They burnt the time back to 6.4 seconds, but the Philadelphia Fusion will still complete King's Row.
The cleanup there from Zest with the Reaper to counter the Winston 2. Just having so much success. The bubble from the Zarya to put him into position. He got slept a few times, but he kept getting woken up over to the side. The Sandman was not doing his job at the very end. So Zest actually just getting away with that too for the rest of the Fusion. Limited time bank here on their hands to work with, though. The Spark were able to come up on those last two fights prior to the very final one. So the Spark were able to get their footing, especially with Alpha Yi just popping off. The Fusion were able to shut him down once they were able to get into that position where the payload was so close to that finish line.
Side switch comes into play. Fusion now jump on the defense. And Zest going over to the Genji for the defense, so not keeping with the Reaper for now. May bring that out in the later stages of this map if it gets that far. They're just confident in the fact they didn't finish in overtime. Buys them a little bit of an insurance policy should they fail to stop the Spark on their offense.
And take our time here, the Fusion. See Zest having some fun with the small health pack.
I count on you.
Show us his moves real quick. I'm going to be able to wait. Spraying a little spread out here. As you can see, they're just starting position right now with AimGod holding onto the high ground. Gushway's going to have no issue trying to boot them off, but it is going to be that split attention that's going to be an issue. Very similarly that we saw in that last map. Alfie just trying to take a cheeky shot before making the swap over to the Genji himself.
Yeah, that's kind of expected. Shy finds them in free, somehow. Not even with a headshot, just a body shot after some spray, I imagine. Doing it natty. Forcing the sports away. AimGod's gone down. There's a lot of shuriken dinks we had from Alpha Yi. We're just able to close this out and force them into the back line. Try and get Fury away from the high ground. Should be easily done here. I think this is quite clean from the Spark. They're going to be able to get point A on their first attempt and get it in motion.
So quick with that, too. I mean, we were talking about the high ground splitting up some of that attention. I love the follow-ups that we saw between Gushway and Alpha Yi. Essentially sandwiching the Fusion. And also, that first pick absolutely helped them out onto MM3. Now with getting this payload out of the garage, so much time in the time bank to work with here. You see Neko already getting into position. Have Gushway right next to him, holding his hand real quick. At this next choke point, they're not going to be able to control all the space that we saw the Fusion control on their attack here. They want to go for more of those staggered kills. They want to be able to at least try to hold this choke point. The Fusion are going to have a much better time, at least when it comes to the defense on the second point.
Break through that arch. Nearly. Zest Reaper is going to make this difficult for them. Has to back away, turns attention to Gushue, who escapes after being anti-nade. Good thing he had the boosters on cooldown. TP from Zest into the back line. Fury gives him a bubble to make sure he can regroup. Wants to turn his attention to Gushue, can't get up to the high ground. A little bit out of range to have the full impact, and aim god's been picked off. Just stall for time. Make him chase you, and then Shy can do the magic for you and find these picks. No one helping you out. Gushue's caught behind enemy lines, and now they're just running in your back line instead.
Zest coming right back into the action, saying, you know what, Shy, you can see this day, but now Gushue is going to be able to take care of you after cleaning up the rest of the payload with Alpha Yi. I like the intention of the Future try to split up that attention with Zest, just try to go into the back line, but Shy with these initial picks have just been so impactful for the rest of the Spark. Now they're going to be able to move up, control that next space that we were talking about before. The Future are going to try to roll in. They're about to get the Death Blossom ready, as well as the grab and the Nano Boost.
Already outside the door of point C as well, so good progress being made. Nano Boost given over to Zest. Climbing up towards that Death Blossom, I imagine. It's a couple more percentage. And Spark are playing very split. They're not trying to contest this one, but they will have to go and jump onto the payload, and that will put them in range of a Death Blossoming. Oh, okay. Well, maybe not if Zest is off the field altogether. Grab comes out as a passing gift from Fury, but there's too much damage provided to the Fusion already. Point C. Claimed by Spark in a much faster fashion. They have a substantially larger time bank to work with moving into the final section of the map.
Oh, Shy stared down at that grab and still was cleaning all of the Fusion heads real quick while Alpha E cleaned up on aisle 3. Gushue backing up just so slightly. He's got the Primal ready for that reset just in case. Fusion didn't even have the opportunity to use that Death Blossom. They're going to have to need it for this next corner. Trying to get us into position, trying to also boost up some more of that extra damage for Fury with that bubble. Where he comes up to the back line, he's found Zero. He's going to be able to claim that first pick here on the Death Blossom. It's all he can get before he backs away in time. He could possibly try to find Gushue before the reset, but he can't do it just in time. Reset comes in, and now you see the sound barrier from Vixen from the rest of the Fusion. Trying to match that with Nico here from the Spark. Trying to help out their survivability, but Gushue can't say the same. Zest has just been on top of him and got put into position thanks to Fixa and that speed boost.
Yeah, big assault there from Fusion to capitalize on that early pick. Gets themselves in spot. Spark throws a bunch of ultimates into the mix, Sound Barrier and Primal Rage as well to try and stabilize, maybe kind of counter and see if they can wait for the reinforcements to come back. Wasn't meant to be, so it just ended up being a little bit expensive for what they actually gained back. Still plenty of time to work with here. 3 minutes and 50. Blade available for Alpha Yi. Quick, easy picks coming in. They just need to be mindful of Fury's barriers that will mitigate that altogether.
We got the Blade ready here from Alpha Yi. Try to come in from the heavens, potentially. Ooh, nice little ding onto Zest. Nano Boost coming online for Zest. He's going to be able to hold 4 onto the Spark, trying to find Gushue. He gets shut down immediately by Shy again. On point with these picks. Fury falls incredibly low. He can't survive as Nico's going to be able to find him. Jumping right on top of MN3, though, as he's going to be able to back away with the rest of the Fusion. They've lost out already on 2, so they need to actually try to reset, but Gushue is not going to let them. So much extra space here in terms of Spark.
They're crumbling a little bit here now, Vicky. 3 minutes left on the clock. They just need to get over the line. They've got a big combo in the Dragon Blade that could cut down the rush that comes out of the spawn. Fury's grab needs to be elite to do it, but they've lost MN3. Grab just finding Shy. Gushue's taking a nap. Neko comes with a clearance. They will take down Alpha Yi after the blade expires. Gushue still going strong though, but he's without support now. They've just lost to Lucio. Not going to be able to get it over the line this time, Vicky. They're going to have to try another attempt.
There's a 3-for-3 though pick-off here between both sides. And it's the Fusion that holds this defense. They're going to be able to hold back the Spark, but they have so much time to work with too, Trid. 2 minutes, 24 seconds and counting. Fury's going to be able to back up, restabilize. Zest is about to get another Death Blossom on top of this.
Big options available for them. Death Blossom should definitely get them off the payload. Oh! Shy can't get away with that. Sleep immediately woken up by Fury, can't escape. It's MN3 to trade it out. 2 for 1 so far in favor of the Spark. Low HP bars across the board for Neko, holding onto the sound barrier just to get Gushue and Alpha Yi there. They think they can do it. I mean, that might have been an overcommit for the Spark. They're right outside the spawn room. They're never going to be able to reinforce fast enough to keep that fight going.
TM3 coming right back around here too. Again, still has that Death Blossom. Fury's about to get the grab, which is really good news here for the Fusion on their defense. They did lose out on Fixa a little bit early there, but he's going to come right back in, building up into that Transcendence. That pick onto Fixa would be a huge deal for the Spark if they can manage to get that. Gushue taking a quick little nap, wasting even more time away from the overall time bank to 1 minute and 20 seconds. And 3 ultimates for the Fusion to work with right now, 4 when you count MM3 in.
It's the options available. Dragon Blade, big one for Spark still. It worked for him last time, try and break through. Shy's been fantastic at finding picks as well. That could also be an opener. Any Nano Blade combo that comes through, Fix is going to have to deal with. So they have to find something to force that out a little bit earlier. They have any hope of reaching through. Keeping a lot of attention by constantly pinging Fury. They want to know where Fury is.
And keeping track of it, you see the Nano Blade just trying to be contested here at the same time. Now Alpha Yi's going to be able to unleash it while Gushue is taking a nap. Real quick, MN3 shooting him down. Alpha Yi nowhere in sight to get any impact with that blade. The Spark getting held back with less than 30 seconds on the clock, although Gushue and Shy still finding these individual picks. No DPS lineup still standing for the Fusion, while the desperate swaps are coming in from Zest, going over to the Genji, but it's okay. Fury has the grab. Fury can keep everybody at bay. Despite the disruptor shot coming in, you see Fury holding forward, getting even more of that extra charge while he's beaming down the competition. Now he's going to also have that nano boost originally, but InGod gets taken down, so Fury's going to be able to back away in time before the time bank gets taken away. Overtime needs to be forced out by the Spark.
Yeah, they need to kill Zest. Good tag there. Overclock. Fixer, if you can find him, that'd be really useful here. There's no ultimates in the tank for the Philadelphia Fusion. Overtime has been triggered. They've lost Gushue. They need to stall without their tank, without the HP pool, but they keep losing members. Fusion, they've dug their heels in. Shy keeps finding picks. He needs to find more of the Spark are able to hold out long enough to get Gushue back in position. Nano boost over to Neko with the rally. They've got some survivability. Here comes Gushue over the top to be able to get back in. Aim God shut down, bashed into the corner. Overtime's in effect. They can still have another attempt if they get it over the line. They need to clear out Zest. And they got Fury in the corner. 100 charge. He burns through and drops the grab as well. And there's a step off for the Spark as the Fusion will equalize the series.
Too much pressure coming out here. The Spark falling down with Fusion. Gonna be able to split up their attention at the very end right there. Looked really scary for them, though, at the very end with Gushue just jumping in. You saw Nico was actually nano boosted, activated the rally, still got annihilated by MM3, but the Fusion coming in with Zest on this Reaper, getting a lot of progress with Fury being on the Zarya.
Yeah, nice little upgrade for them. They're playing well at the moment with it. 1 apiece after 2 maps. Still not entirely decisive either way at this point, Vicky. I feel as though Spark, maybe a slight alteration in some of the fights, could be able to win out with that map there. It's definitely still a close series in mind. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll have a push map waiting for you. An escort map, sorry. My apologies.
Welcome back, everyone, to our second series here in APAC. We got a tied series on our hands between the Spark and the Fusion. Fusion making some adjustments, not only to their tank lineup, but the way that they were able to adjust right back around the Spark.
100%, and it led them to winning quite a closely contested match of King's Row. I wouldn't say it's quite dominant either way at this stage of the series yet, Vicky. But they were able to get themselves a dub in the end. We can see Bellaria coming back in for Fury, so no doubt they're probably going to want to go for more of the Winston flavor, more so than the Zarya flavor we've been seeing. That seems to be the indicator of which tank's coming in. I did like the Zarya version of the Philadelphia Fusion, definitely was performing a little bit better, but of course our next map destination may be a factor in that decision making.
Now, honestly, we did see Fury build up that grab really quick at the very end there. I was really impressed. But we are going to see a change up from the Fusion. Bellaria coming right back in as we get set up to jump into map number 3. It's going to be Dorado, our escort map here, to see what we're going to do. In terms of the sightlines that we've already been witnessing on King's Row Trade, do you expect any change-ups from these teams?
Not particularly in terms of compositions. I mean, the Sojourn's probably going to be a solid option for them here on Dorado, I imagine. Genji, verticality still the same, so damage lineup should be quite similar, I imagine. I think we're probably going to end up seeing the Lucio and the Ana quite a lot, but of course that might change sometimes into the Brigitte Ana instead. Ana seems to be quite a staple mainstay so far in this meta.
Saying here what we're going to open up with as our players just get ready, get settled up in here. Again, 1-1 apiece between both of these teams. Moving on to this third map, though, like you mentioned before, Trid, I feel like there hasn't been like that one dominating side to really determine where that momentum is going to be shifting first. It's kind of been passed on the same, even in that initial fight where the Fusion were able to get that point moving real quick. Just the way that they've been able to approach not just King's Row, but having to play around the space from the Spark, trying to take their time, maybe taking too much of their time. I'm wondering if we're going to try to kick things up a bit here as we get started on Dorado.
So yeah, we saw a lot of Dorado in the last stage, Vicky. So with this map in particular, the early control around those first houses, red and yellow, tend to be quite a time sink for a lot of teams to break through, especially if you can have things like a Sojourn and a Genji up in the rooftops as well to really provide that pick damage and shut things down. The extra vertical mobility that comes in with Winston makes those positions harder to attain sometimes, or harder to retain more accurately. It doesn't necessarily mean it's impossible to do so. Expecting a lot of abuse of the high ground and the multi-layered areas that come into Dorado in this upcoming map.
Especially Bellaria coming right back in. Don't let that deceive you. I'll never take the bait again. Spark are going to be able to roll out with exactly what we see here. Shy, no surprise, going onto the Sojourn. You have a lot of those open sight lines, especially when you're on that high ground. Like you said, getting booted off that high ground is going to be important here. Looking at the way that Gushue and Bellaria is going to try to approach that. Would it be surprised, actually, if we do see the Sigma? Just because it is escort. We're going to have to wonder here. Again, not going to get baited. Fusion just going to get set up because they want to be able to get onto the high ground immediately afterwards. I know. It always happens anyways. But it's nice to be able to talk about with the way that these tanks have been trying to roll out with what they feel comfortable with. We are still seeing the Bread and True M3 Sombra as well as the Zest Genji.
Yeah, I mean, that is a massive... There's so much pick potential on that team. If you were to bring that up, I think Zest is just going to go for the harassing of Gushue for the time being. Terror's relatively safe up here, all the way back away from the action. Goes until M3 goes for the sneak up on them. Gets the information, finds out where they all are. Probably going to turn the attention to Gushue, but he just dips over on the rooftop to make sure the hackers can go through. Now turn their attention, they're going on the offense now.
Hello, M3 trying to just turn around, get away from that situation. Shy nails down Bellaria, though. Nice pick off here for the Spark. Well, the rest of the Fusion are just going to have to take their time, recuperate right in front of their spawn room doors. Shy not getting booted, though, off of this high ground already. Getting that first pick is a big deal, though, because this is even more time and space that they're going to be able to establish for themselves already early on in Dorado.
Still holding the line for the time being. There's Bellaria diving into the back, and then free parts the high ground as well, no doubt. Winston's going to be joining him shortly. He's taking a nap on the ground as Teru finds Fixer. There's just one pick fight to keep happening here, Vicky.
Oh, man.
Oh, so beaten, battered, bruised, 95 HP, still jumps over the house and gets back to safety. Fusion keep losing members on the peripherals of this main tank fight that keeps on happening.
No rest here for Gushue. Managed to come right back in, get fully resustained. Ray is going to try to contest him. Some help, though, from Zess. Try to help him out just a little bit before they drop right back down from the high ground. Like you said, it's like those single picks that we keep seeing. So close to finding that pick, though, onto Shy. It's not going to work out. Well, he manages to turn around immediately and claim Zess for even trying to boot him off the high ground. Alpha E's positioning here, too, is just forcing the Fusion to be in this canyon of the Spark where they have to split up both of their attention, and it's really up to Velasquez to determine where he wants to focus down, who he wants to boot off from the high ground, who's going to be able to get out of there.
They just haven't been able to successfully dislodge Gushue. And look at that. You jump up to where Alpha is. He dashed it across the reinforcements of the Winston. Then they find Aim God on the back. They are hunting the Fusion right now, Vicky. They are hunting them down one by one, dismantling. Thank the Lords that they're able to get that underneath the arch and get it into market to maybe move the objective further behind. Because if they were caught, like you referred to it as this canyon, I wouldn't see them getting much further.
This is crazy with the way that Gushue is going to be able to not only hold this high ground, but look at this three-way split. See Alpha E on the yellow building, Gushue over on the red building, and then you have Shy that's been putting in so much pressure with the open sight line on the Sojourn that is actually forcing the Fusion to take a different route, maybe try to split some of that attention on the back line if they can. MN3 wanting to rack up some more of that EMP if you get a chance, but the pulse bomb stick, wow, onto Aim God. They trade that though with Zets, finding an opportunity finally onto the backline, taking away the sustainability that Spark needed to maintain the positioning that they've had on the high ground here.
Gushue can buy a little bit of time for the reinforcements to come in and stop the payload from getting too deep into the market phase. Alpha E is with them as well, so there is still kill potential. Zest goes out the safety of the bubble. They're on the hunt for Alpha Yi. Don't know what resources they have left to be able to escape, but they can't die here if the team wants to have a coordinated fight in market. But as Rhea going to find Alpha Yi, so it's not good. 4v5 for the time being. They still have the chance to have one more fight in the market before allowing Fusion to have point A, but Gushue gets knocked down. They trade 1-for-1 so far. Rally for Fixer. They're throwing all the ultimates in. Neko's also doing the same. Primal Rage available for Bella's Rhea. This is all about stall until Big Daddy Gushue gets back with the Primal Rage. Excellent sleep dart. Shuts down the Winston. Stall, stall, stall. That's the name of the game right now.
Less than 10 seconds and ticking away here. Sparkdo are falling like flies. No support here to help back them up. Zez falling incredibly low. He's going to try to go over to the other side despite the Disruptor shot. Finding Belisria here. Overtime ticking away. They need to take care of Gushue, who has stayed on this point the whole time. Gushue having such a big impact here alone at the very beginning. They finally claim him, and they finally are going to be able to get that first point. But look at that time bank. They were so limited at the very end there.
Yeah, they just get the minimum available time bank for moving on to point B. A lot of control will now focus around to the courthouse and who gets the control of that high ground. Shy having to hold it alone for the time being at range, not too worried about what Zest can do. Blade is available for the big man. Aim God's about to get the nano boost to support it as well. They can clear them away from this area altogether, but they can just remove this fight for the courthouse high ground, and they can make it go into the actual final section, but Shy is able to find Fixer again. Still going to commit the Nano Blade.
Oh,
Terry,
wow.
Mega. Bella's Rhea also jumping in this time as well.
Zez fighting that pick here. No Nano Boost in favor for the Spark here. Belisria now backing up so slightly. He needs to be able to get away. Manages to actually replenish that health before diving right back in. You see the Disruptor shot over by the side. Alpha Yeast got the Pulse Bomb. He's getting ready, trying to isolate the backline real quick. If he could have that opportunity, I mean, he is on the high ground here. He's just trying to be able to find an angle if he can. See, Tero still has that Nano Boost that he's waiting to use here. Trying to poke out just briefly in the entryway to see if maybe he could put it onto somebody here. Alpha Ye's the one that's up on the high ground real quick. Here comes the EMP from MM3. He saw Teru just trying to sneak along, but they shut him down immediately. Love the patience for the Spark. Almost like they were expecting MM3 to actually move in with that EMP. Great timing on that. Alpha Yi now still up with that Pulse Bomb, waiting for the opportunity with less than a minute on the clock tread.
Yeah, great reaction there from Teru. The EMP comes in, immediately puts himself between, puts a wall between him and MN3. Gets the call from Neko to come over and assist. Both of them survive it and push back MN3's assault. Keep Teru alive, and that Nano Boost is an available option for Spark in this next fight. 30 seconds remaining. Fusion don't have anything in the bag so far. Bella's Rhea is the closest. After he has another Pulse Bomb, recalls himself up to safety. MN3 should go down here, I hope. Nano Boost. passed over, given over to Shy with the overclock. Not connecting any of these shots at present, but is clearing a lot of space. Great recall from MN3, keeps him alive. A lot of bolts thrown in there, Vicky. Not much to show for it right now.
So 5 seconds of ticking away. They got to try to touch this point here. It's going to be MM3, Bellistreo to join him, but he's taking a quick nap and he gets deleted immediately. Won't even be able to activate the Primal. Overtime ticking away, now burning away for the Fusion. They managed to actually touch it. It's going to be Zest. He's got the blade, but he's got to avoid Nico. He's got the rally activated. He's got the shield bash to stop him in his boots, but it's going to be Shy instead to shoot him out of the sky. They're going to be trading that Alpha E going down, MM3 as well as 2 members out for the Fusion. No DPS left, and Fixa is going to have that nano boost from Aim God. Bellistreo is going to be able to come right back in, but he's got to deal with Gushue. Very similar to the fight that we just saw to get that first point originally here. Now we're seeing some of these extra trades coming in too, with Nico falling down.
This overtime fight's really brutal for the Fusion. Playing one of the furthest points away from their spawn. Reinforcements coming so much faster for the Spark. Longer this goes on, the closer they're going to get to ults. Alpha E will get a pulse bomb in his next fight. Teru also has the nano boost. MN3 really needs to work on that EMP if they're going to have a chance of winning out the fight.
He's trying his best here. He's about to get it soon. The rally now to help keep the Fusion up in this fight. EMP still climbing here. Alpha E unleashes the pulse bomb, doesn't find that pick, but Fixa goes down with the rally in hand. Here comes MM3 with the EMP. Huge EMP! It's found 4. Gushue gets taken down, and anti-hits onto Neko, and you have Teru, who not only gets slept, but gets hacked at the same time after that again. The entire point getting cleared up by the Spark. Not enough of that EMP could really do much here to deal with the Spark, as the Fusion gets stopped right before that second point.
Sizable distance. It's good effort for them to be able to defend against. What a brutal defense the Spark had, though, on point A in particular. Like, just in the initial parts of point A before you get into the market. Unreal to stagger that much time against the Fusion, just constantly keeping them guessing where the angles of attack were going to be from. Hopefully it means they have a solid game plan on the point A as well to be able to just play around the advantage that they abuse themselves.
Man, no follow-up from that EMP originally there, too. MM3 had found 4, I believe it was. Siru managed to survive, not only out of the EMP, but also after being slept here, too. Fusion had their backs against the wall at the very end right there. The Spark are going to be the ones on the attack this time around. No changes coming in here. MM3 still sticking to the Sombra.
You can see that framework gets set up. How are they positioning on these rooftops? At the moment, they're just leaving Zest on the Sombra up there. I imagine that you're going to send Bella's rear as the main point to hold that down, same way Gushue did. MN3 Sombra is a different spanner in the works, though. A lot of hacks, and they probably might play a little bit more aggressively and take the fight to Spark more than what we saw Spark do, rather than being reactionary. There's the information. Sneak in behind Teru.
Gets the hack and gets the dive and gets the pick onto Teru. Gushue immediately tried to retaliate, but just was 1 second too late to react right there. Being so close to the spawn room doors too, but amazing follow-up that you saw from Bellistreo. The rest of the Fusion now are going to be able to back away after getting that pick and try to reposition, but they don't have the ability to have that Sojourn with those sight lines that we saw the Spark really utilize when they were the ones on the defense.
And the Payload's locked in a pretty similar position as well. MM3 just waiting, getting the intel, choosing the target. Shy with the flip. Knew it was coming. Get over 180, spray down, decloaks the Sombra and keeps themselves safe. Meanwhile, the skirmish continues on the main point. You can see Neko unable to escape from that one as Zest has the rundown, so Fusion's still able to find the picks the same way Spark were able to.
Zest on the high ground real quick, sharing that rooftop with Bellistreo. See Gushue trying to wrap around that corner. Already used up that bubble. Aim God holding the other side of that sight line, though. Don't need the Sojourn. They got Aim God right there here. And MM3 splitting up the attention, finding Gushue with the quick hack. But Gushue gets to survive to right there. About to get the nano boost. That nano boost is going to help out, not only with the survivability of Gushue, but also to try to clear up some of that extra space on the higher ground, because they're not going to contest it on the payload as they go underneath that bridge next.
Nano boost over to Bellistreo. Pulse bomb into the mix, doesn't find a kill. Primal Rage available as well. Tries a railgun shot. Gushue takes cover. Needs some healing desperately, but there's the spray down. He's trying to find him, stays alive still, even though Zest is in there in the mid trying to find him as well. Alpha Yi's Pulse Bomb. Could be the burst, needs to break through, goes for the headshots, recalls back to safety. Keep an eye on where the Primal Winston now lies in the middle of the fight. Slams Teru. Fusion, a burn in this time back down, 1 minute 50 remains.
And Nick also gets hit with that anti. The both of the back line gets deleted here. No supports left for the Spark while the Fusion go in for the reset back on the high ground. The follow-ups between Zest, M3, and Pelistria is beautiful. They've been splitting the Spark up left to right, literally. Zest real quick with the recall, says nobody saw that. Getting right back to safety and is about to get that pulse bomb ready.
I saw that. Everyone saw that, Vicky. We all saw him step off the edge of the map.
We've seen a few of those already. Diving right back in though,
Yes,
we do have the pulse bomb for Alpha Yi.
doing it. Pulse bomb, yeah, like you said. MN3 has that EMP as well. Ooh, he's getting slammed. Use the EMP instead of the hack just to relieve that pressure and get Gujue away from them. More than that, unfortunately. Rallying Neko running into the fight. Really hard for him to deal with this. Belazria surviving with an inch of his life. Still alive, desperately needs healing from Aim God or Thick, so I have no idea where that giant monkey is. Now he's back in the mix. Nanaboo's given over, punches onto Teru, needs to reload his gun. That's the saving grace for Teru right now. Buys more time, but they brought in the reinforcements. Here comes Tracer. Zest able to spray them down. Helps with the assist. Trading back and forth still. Payload kept in motion. 25 seconds remaining as they're into the latter stages of point A.
Teru's running for his life there. Belazria now having the Primal ready to engage here. Zest finds Neku at the same time. Gujue going down next here. The Fusion on this defense, looking to contain the Spark way before they were going to be able to get held up themselves right before that second point, getting a little bit taste of their own medicine. Nice pulse bomb stick onto Alpha Yi, but he was too close. Getting ate up by his own pulse bomb. Couldn't touch the payload to force it into overtime here. And the Fusion now take our next map. It's going to be 2-1 in favor for the Fusion, and they're going to be sitting at match point trade.
Even if Alpha Yi, like, didn't eat his own pulse bomb and die, or like get damaged by it and then get picked off by Fusion, he was not in position to touch the car anyway. No one in Fusion was in position to touch the car. Only person who could have done it is Alpha Yi, yet he's skirmishing off the point right now. Maybe a miscommunication on the urgency that was required to get to the point, or a miscalculation on how close they were, but there was no viable option for Spark to keep that map alive.
Yeah, I was expecting Alpha Yi to try to move in, and then we saw that pulse bomb pick over to in the kill feed, despite him even going down to it. Quite unfortunate right there for the Spark, but the Fusion, they take it. They fully hold them back before they even get the chance to get that first point on Dorado. We're going to be moving on to map number 4 on the other side of this break. Let's see if the Fusion could try to take it home this time. Welcome back, everyone. The Fusion currently sit at match point versus the Spark in what seems to be a bit of scrambles all happening all over the place on different sides of the map right now, Trid.
Yeah, it's a bit of a scramble. It's a little bit scrappy, so to speak, kind of reminiscent of what we saw yesterday as well, where you just have 1v1s, 2v2s, dynamic matches all over the map. Not really cohesive again, and giving you a quick little roster update, Fury is coming in for Bellasaria, so it does probably mean we're going to get more of that Fury Zarya, which was so impactful to their win on King's Row. Hopefully, it's going to allow the Philadelphia Fusion to close the series out 3-1 and instill some confidence back in their fan base, because they are at match point now, as we look towards our next map type, which is going to be a push map.
I like this on and off swap off from the Fusion real quick. While we are going to be going on to Colosseo for our 4th map to get set up, bringing in Fury has allowed them to change up their comp, allowing the Zarya to get enabled. Saw the Doom at one point here, so it's going to be nice to see how they're going to be able to try to play into this.
Yeah, I'd love to see the adaptations that come in across the series. You know, we see only very minor ones in this series, I would say. It's fairly stable, with the MN3 Sombra being a factor. Zest seems to be having fun on both the Tracer and the Genji, but Shy and Alfie are pretty standard doing...
Or rather, I meant the Reaper originally right there. Yeah, the Reaper is what I meant to say, yeah. The Zarya,
yes,
the Reaper, yeah. I saw... my brain went, huh. Overwatch 1. But no, I'm talking about the Reaper real quick from what we had seen already from the Fusion and the Zarya coming out originally. Going on to Colosseo, though, I could expect that with especially the very beginning with the push bot, trying to find who gets that first pick is so important, but you are in that close quarter fight where there is a lot of brawling going down.
Well, the rollouts will be happening shortly. Streets of Colosseo. Really think we're going to expect to see that Zarya because Fury's in the mix, but other than that, it's just deviations to the same composition that comes out. Backlines have been changed quite a lot. We've seen the Zenyatta coming through a few times as well. I more think the Spark roster is more reminiscent of what we may see on this round, more so than Philly right now. I feel Zest and Fury doing a bit of smidgen of trolling. Perhaps. But the Alpha Yi Reaper is an option, I believe. They haven't played it in this series so far, but Gushway Winston sounds about right. And there it is, the Alpha Yi Genji instead. So it's comfort picks across the board for the Hangzhou Spark, I feel like, and the Philadelphia Fusion opting for the Zest Reaper with the Fury Zarya blend they've been rolling out on King's Row.
And this is what we were expecting here originally from the Fusion. Once we saw that Fury was moved right back in onto this roster for their match point map here. Spark trying to play around both of these sides of the wall. You see Zest now getting into position, taking a little bit of damage at the same time, but this is that skirmish that we usually always get to see here on the beginning of Colosseo.
It's all about who gets the first decisive fight win here to start building that early pressure. MN3 under the kosh. Zest getting out with their life as well. Philly pushed back so far in that first fight. They just have to give up a lot of space, but they're not out of the fight yet. They will return the bot to the middle and start working on these ultimates. But MN3 with a pick on the Goosh Way. That's really bad for the Spark. They're going to lose control early. And you can see they're in full retreat, wanting to regroup and stop this. So they can lose the battle, but not the war.
Amazing progress, though, for the Fusion to be able to get that pick off first. The comms going crazy for Zest just to let MN3 know that Goosh Way was already low to get that follow-up, to not let him get away out of that corner when he could just jump out of there. Now the rest of the Spark were forced to back up just a little bit, trying to control some of that high ground here, while Shy getting just pinged up a little bit by AimGod, who's about to get that nano boost online.
That's probably the recipient of that one. Some safety for AimGod. Goosh Way's there.
Oh.
He picked up, didn't know where to look in the end. Lots of crossfire focusing onto the Ana. Drops out that big healing element from the team. Nanobu's giving over the Goosh Way. Spark really putting resources into an offensive right now. Win the fight, then move the bot. Zero progress being made so far as Goosh Way picks the second kill of that fight for himself. Fury building up some charge, doesn't have some healing, wants to try and pick up some stragglers. He will end up going down and loses all the energy they built for themselves. Finally, Spark can get some progress on the board.
And look how hard Spark had to work just to be able to get this bot moving in their favor. They had to use so much with that nano boost to keep Goosh Way alive just because of how the beginning of this map just went down with the Fusion, getting that first initial pick onto Goosh Way, who's now taking a nap real quick. Zest already moving in onto his position. Goosh Way manages to fall back a bit here, and now the ultimates are online for the Spark to deal with, but the Fusion and their backline need to be able to retaliate back. M3 is also about to get that overclock down the sight line.
Approach this one. Zest holding himself in the corner. Overclock available. If you go long, you get shot by the overclock. If you go short, you get blown up by the Death Blossom. How do you play this one, Spark? You got a long range and a short range damage ultimate that's going to cut through AoE quite easily. MN3 taking those shots. They're trading them with the overclocks. Takes Neko out of the sky. Won't be bringing their sound barrier to the fight. Nice sleep dart there from Teru to stem the bleeding. Ultimately, not going to be able to shut it down. Great evasive skills and a cleanse coming in from the barrier as well to keep the anti-kill in there. Alfie finds Fixer with knowing that there's no sound barrier to save him. Great shutdown there from MN3. Spot has not moved more than 31 meters in either direction, and we've nearly burnt half the time bank of the map.
But now you have to unleash the Death Blossom though while you're at it, but the Dome is not going to let Zest get any progress. Goosh Way sitting him down real quick with some help from Shy. Here comes the grab though for Fury before he gets taken down, and the Fusion maybe had different plans here. Yeah, it's going back and forth, but the numbers are in favor for the Spark currently. Goosh Way's going to be able to come right back in with the Primal. Shy though went up with the sleep and deleted.
AimGod just sprints at them with a tranquilizer gun, shuts them down. Teru follows up as well afterwards, but they've lost their life. Keeping it nice and tight and competitive on Colosseo so far.
Look at this. Look at where the bot has gone. How it's gone so back and forth. It's like a seesaw. Looking at both Fusions and Spark and the way they've been able to get this progress. Got that charged up. Railgun real quick here from MN3. Knowing very well, don't point it in Alpha Yi. You saw that deep coming in immediately.
Yeah, to pivot charge, change target quite quickly, still alive. Let's have a look at the ultimates for the Spark. They have the sound barrier and the Primal Rage. Goosh Way should be unkillable in this next fight, provided it doesn't provided it doesn't outlast those survival ultimates. Overclock being used. Fury gets that nano boost. Teru's found by Zest. That's a very expensive lost fight for the Spark.
They get torn apart here. The Fusion are going to be able to clean them up. MM3 gets to keep that overclock. And the way that they were able to push back the Spark when they literally used everything. Yeah, they're going to have the Blade coming up, and we're going to see some swaps. Neko going over to the Brig. But that was the Spark trying to actually contest with the overclock themselves. Immediately getting shut down. Here comes the Seesaw once again. The Fusion, though, coming up with a little bit more of that success, but they can't get past that bridge where you see the Spark holding onto the high ground with a quick pause, though, coming in. Not too sure inside of who right now, but looks like we are just going to get that quick pause to help out and figure out what's going on.
Yeah, probably gonna be like a mouse issue or something. It always happens quite a lot in these series, but see what happens when we get back to it to take stock of the state of the game. So MM3's overclock available as an option for Philly Fusion. They do have a marginal lead, only about 20 meters. The bot hasn't really pushed these blockades very far at all this entire map, sorry. And we are getting into the latter half of it, and at the moment Fusion do have the lead in the map, and they're very good at keeping these fights done. I don't feel like there has been a concrete, decisive fight since the first one that was won out, and that's probably why it's not been able to travel so far, Vicky, because it's just a continuous brawl, a cycle of players coming in from their spawn rooms repeatedly. It comes in a little bit of an ebb and flow, but it doesn't truly end, which is why we're seeing such a kind of muted game if you were to check the progress. 4 minutes 43 left on the clock as well for you. We'll see if we get an update on the reason for the pause, but at the moment I imagine it's just going to be a technical issue on the hardware.
Yeah, and just looking at where the teams are sitting at right now and looking at the wind condition for the Spark, they're about to get the Nano Blade online soon for both Alpha Yi and Teru. They're just racking up enough of that percentage so that way they could pull the trigger on that. But that is what they're going to have to rely on, and it does trickle down to if they can negate the healing that Fix is going to put down with the sound barrier that he's also about to get. Also, depending on the initial pick that MM3 manages to position themselves for when they're trying to cross through that underpass where the bridge is, the Spark have been doing a really good job at preventing the Fusion from kind of splitting up their attention from either going into the high ground and then focusing on the low ground, but they've been preventing them from even getting there originally. So I like the way that the Fusion are approaching this, but Gushue has been doing a really good job at splitting that attention where they haven't really made that decisive factor of whether they want to continue going through the underpass or not.
Yeah, we need to find a route for them to do that. Like, I mean, also the fights are happening in multiple places around this area, right? So we have the main line that follows for the objective, but a lot of these fights are being taken off into the dead center of the map outside of that tunnel, and like there's flanking angles that are constantly being put under. You see the amount of times that AimGod thinks they're safe, and then you just see someone come on the flank. There's 3 people in his face who completely circumvented the main fight and to pick off the back line. Keeps happening quite a lot in these ones. And then you have to be worried about, is Shy or MM3 going to blow your head off with a railgun out of nowhere as well? There's so much threat at the moment for supports, I feel like, on this map, that Neko actually having the Brigitte is going to provide an element of safety for them, which is not found by Fixer, I feel.
Yeah, that and Teru's also been doing a really good job at contesting Zest as well, just getting away from Zest whenever he can. Obviously, Zest moving in with Fury, bubbling him at the same time to build up their own damage is important here, but when Teru's the one putting you to sleep before you even have an opportunity to take a shot, before that bubble can even get put down to you, it can be a little bit of a nuisance to be able to close in that gap. So then the Spark also have Alpha Yi to help peel for Teru in situations like that, and then to try to also split that attention to MM3, but that is what Fusion want to happen. They want to be able to have that split attention onto Zest. Meanwhile, right behind you, you're getting domed by MM3 because there's these open sight lines in Colosseo that allow MM3 to actually excel.
Yeah, so what we need to see here is a decisive fight win ultimately to really swing it open. It can still be blown wide open either way at this point. No one has a substantial advantage over the other. You got 36 meters to 12 meters. Philadelphia Fusion look more set up at the moment to be able to take this fight. Shy so far removed from the fight at the moment, just getting back or taking a long angle. We're going to go to a quick break though. When we come back, we'll give you an update where we are with the state of the map, and also we'll be back from the pause.
Welcome back, everyone. That was quick. Thanks so much for sticking with us. We just had a word that one of the players, unfortunately, their PC had shut down, so they just wanted to load in as quickly as possible, and it looks like we are actually getting to do that right now.
Yeah, hopefully getting back into the game nice and quickly. Just give you a reminder, if you're just joining us now, we are currently 2-1 in favor of Philadelphia Fusion. Match point on Colosseo. We're about over 5 minutes into the map out of the 10-minute available time bank, and really can still go either way. No one's got an insurmountable lead. 36 meters in favor of the Fusion, 12 in favor of the Spark. Fusion is setting up nicely for a fight. They've got a good couple of ultimates coming online, but we're looking towards a Nano Blade from Alfie and Teru potentially to be that decisive fight winner that enables the Spark to take the lead and light a fire under the Fusion, who are currently marginally leading in this map.
Which would kind of fit the mood of how the series has been playing out. A lot of these individual fights that we have seen go throughout the last few maps have been very back and forth between both these teams. So that one win condition that you were noting, Trid, will be the highlight here for the Spark to actually get ahead of the Fusion in their progress right now. Again, at 36.31 meters compared to 12. We've been seeing a bit of a skirmish, but like you also mentioned before the break, there hasn't been that one breakthrough fight. We're going to dive right into the action right away. Going to highlight once again, look at those ult charges that we're seeing from Teru and Alpha Yi. You're about to get the Blade. You have MM3 already with the overclock ready if he wants to utilize that and fix it to try to negate a lot of that damage that that Blade is going to put down.
Be important, don't get picked by Shy in the chaos. If you go down, it's going to be too bad. Look at the angle Alpha Yi's taking to try and do this. Finding that path with the Blade. He needs to stay in sightline of Teru. Whereas he won't get the nano boost, and he won't be able to really slice through the backline. Looking for him in this position right now. There's the overclock coming in from MM3. Blade available. Beat being brought out. He's going to wait it out.
Oh.
No.
Oh no, he couldn't get anything started there. He was just trying to be patient, trying to wait to have the opportunity to get shut down immediately, and so does Shy. Here comes Zest though, not only with the momentum on his side, but cleaning up these picks off from the Spark one by one as they fall into the chicken bowl here. You're gonna see he's got the Death Blossom ready, and they're gonna be able to have no issue with the progress on this push bot. Look at that, that was that one fight. That one win condition that the Spark needed disappeared before their eyes, and now look at the progress that the Fusion were able to get.
While this is going on, you can see a quick replay. That's just pressing W and M1. Takes out Neko, turns the attention round to Shy. Bit of a raid boss to deny all that support that a Genji would have needed. First checkpoint being claimed here by the Philly Fusion. They get the forward spawns, and Zest is still destroying the Spark as they try and shut this down. Now it's very difficult for the Spark. They have to claim so much territory away from the Fusion if they want to have a chance at winning. There's a big combination lined up with the Graviton Surge and the Death Blossom ready for Zest and Fury to use in this next fight. But they're going to use it without. Nice bobble over, finds Teru. And the Spark, they can't find a footing. They just keep getting disintegrated, losing bodies all over the field. Alpha Yi went for a back cap, I believe. I think Gushway's also there. But they just keep getting mullered all the same. Zest can just camp out where he needs to as the Winston flies ungracefully for the sky.
Quick little hello in the spawn room doors as well here. Trid Zest is having fun. He's been enjoying taking this matchup over to Alpha Yi, by the way, who has to absolutely respect Zest being on this Reaper, obviously. Church is all understanding the matchup here, and the neck move going down here, unfortunately, too. Fury going to be able to find him as Zest gets put to sleep. They finally take care of him. It's going to be Shy that finds two. He's going to be able to help out the Spark finally. Even with that anti of the Gucci and Alpha Yi, he gets taken down. But this is the opening that Spark need. Even with some of those few picks, though, it's MM3 on the other side of the sideline that's going to be able to melt down the rest of the team.
Look, Fusion have done enough at this point, Vicky. It's going to be so difficult for the Spark to be able to surpass the meterage that they've already put on the board. One kill the other way. Fusion could have been looking at actually full capping Colosseo. That's how much progress they managed to dig in. Spark have a couple of tools. They're going to have to cycle through them in the next fight. This is going to be about consistent fight wins from here on out for the Spark. Otherwise, they may as well write off this series now.
There you go, Nano Boost onto Zest right now, Trade. You see the anti onto Zest. He's going to just rake right out of it. It doesn't matter to him anymore. He's going to be able to keep melting them down with Fury helping him out too, boosting up some more of that damage himself. Here comes a sound barrier from the rest of Fusion. It's supposed to be the nail in the coffin. Yes, Shy finds Zest again, but it's the Fusion and their survivability and the numbers on their side. They're starting to see some trades with that pulse bomb. MM3 also taking a quick nap, but the push bot is still moving along.
It's going to keep dragging it forward. Reinforcements will be coming in from the forward spawns, but of course Spark will get there closer. As I mentioned, Fusion don't need to push it any further. They just need to deny the Spark from being able to make any progress of their own. Zest is hiding. Look at him on the minimap. He's waiting for Spark to move in here. He's going to sneak up behind him and just absolutely dismantle them. They need to be aware of this because they can spell disaster. There's only 30 seconds remaining, Vicky, and they don't know.
No,
they don't know.
No! You flail him away, but it doesn't matter. You got aim got to cover your back. Your shield can only point in one direction. Unfortunately, yes, Alpha E gets aim god, but that was absolutely huge from Zest. The backline destroyed from the Spark. In this desperate time, you have less than 10 seconds on the clock, and look at this progress that Fusion have made. You're going to be forced to play the entire time on this bot if you even win this next fight.
Nice slide away there, keeps them in free alive. Can't go down here at a crucial moment. Fury has the Graviton Surge. You can really mess up the Spark to any hope of cohesive defense if they get challenged on this bot. Moving it back to just behind the halfway point. Shy probably wants these sightlines in that tunnel before having to pop the overclock, but gets the elimination on Zest. He goes for it anyway. Fury's been antied, bubbles to cleanse himself. Turns the attention into the tunnel. Graviton Surge gets shut down by Aim God. They're still on the point. Gujwe holding strong. Here's now MM3's overclock. Just shoot straight through the massive monkey that's in front of him. Doesn't need to aim anywhere else because that railgun can go straight through a Winston when overclock is in effect. Need to clear him out before reinforcements come in. Overtime's ticked down long enough. This should be quite fast. And the Philly Fusion will claim victory over the Spark. 3-1 scoreline, ending it on Colosseo.
Let's highlight Aim God and Fix at the very end. They're staying alive and cleaning up everybody that was caught up in that grab too. Absolutely chef's kiss at the very end, getting that nano boost as well onto MM3 to clean up the rest of the Spark. Again, it was going back and forth for quite some time, despite what the scoreboard says. It was going back and forth at the very beginning here on this map too. Shy managed to claim Zest, so they don't have to worry about the close quarter battle, but still Trid, the very end, the Fusion all together, especially that backline, was able to pop up.
Yeah, and I know we only came in for 2 of the 4 maps we saw, but he was such an impact player in this series. The player of the match going to Fury this time around. The Zarya just so oppressive on both Kings Row and Colosseo. Kings Row in particular being a standout performance for them today.
We loved it. We loved being able to see that Grav actually take care of Gujwe. That's whenever you want to not only counter the Primal, but you want to be able to just deal with all that extra damage that would come from that reset originally. I love the way that they were able to keep the grab, the sleep on top of that, and everything to actually prevent that composition from having the success that the Spark wanted to have on Kings Row. But now moving on here to the very final map where we got to see Fury play the Zarya again, it was still more of that impact, that follow, that allowed Zest to play the Reaper to the full potential that we saw Zest really pop off in. Of course, as well as that extra damage that Fury was able to get in this match as Zarya.
Yeah, big performance from Fury on this one. I love the poses the players are doing since we redid some of the player photos. Fantastic work there by the Fusion. But no, hopefully that satisfies Mr. Avril on the sidelines with his super serious power rankings he put out on Twitter. Victory here for the Fusion should see him climb up a few in the ranks and see how they go on the standings as we move into the subsequent weeks of the Countdown Cup qualifiers. But that's it, Vicky. I mean, that's where we're at right now. Weeks 1 down for APAC. Questions about the Shanghai Dragons. LA Valiant have got a good read on what's happening currently. Seoul Dynasty are the #1 team at present, I still believe. But that could all change next week. Who knows what happens when these teams get time to actually prepare for the matches and get a good read on a whole complete week's worth of action in the Eastern region.
Yeah, I mean, what is the matches in NA going to unfold to see what's going to happen in terms of the compositions that we're seeing? I mean, obviously, teams like the Shanghai Dragons are still figuring things out, Trid, so I'm wondering, are we going to see some of that change-up going into the following week?
I certainly hope so. If you're a Dragons fan, you definitely don't want to see them have a winless week. It's very alien for you to recognize that, but no, I think that's a note for them to try and discover over the next couple of days before we come back for week #2. But that's all from me and Vicky. Of course, if you tune in later, you'll see the North American stage of the Countdown Qualifiers as they close down the week. Anyway, thanks very much for tuning in. Bye!
Bye.